Good evening, everyone. If you could please take your seats. Thank you so much. We are going to call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m., the November 18th City Council meeting. Now would Stepan Losif, a student at West Hollywood Elementary, come please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I almost said national anthem. You can do both if you want, but you can start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge an allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, is indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Great job. You're good. Yeah. You're good. I mean, you can stay there all night if you want. I mean, I might get a little bored, but I know we're going to do that now. And now I would like to invite up Councilmember-elect Danny Hang to do the land acknowledgement. Danny?
The West Hollywood City Council acknowledges that the land on which we gather, and that is currently known as the City of West Hollywood, is the occupied, unceded, seized territory of the Gabrielino Tongva and the Gabrielino Kizh people.
Thank you so much, Councilmember-elect. All right, Madam City Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Howman.
Here.
Councilmember Meister.
Here.
Councilmember Shine.
Present.
Vice Mayor Byers.
Here.
Mayor Erickson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Wonderful. Do my colleagues have any, City Clerk, are there any changes from staff?
There are no changes from staff
Wonderful.
to the agenda.
Do my colleagues have any? And if not, I'm happy to start, if that's okay. I was going to ask if we would like to move F3, Dancing in Plummer Park, to consent. F4, the Older Adults Rent Stabilization and Housing Session, to consent. Okay, those are the two I have. Does anyone else want to try anything else?
Do we want to combine F1 and F2 for public testimony?
I think that's appropriate. May we do that, Madam City Clerk? F1 and F2, can we combine the both, or do you need to take them separately?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, sounds great.
How about E3?
E3 is the update on the city's 2024 Paris Olympics delegation and planning. I would actually like a presentation on that. I think there's some fun, interesting direction we should give. Okay. Anything else? I think that's it. I think it's fairly light. Okay. All right, is there a motion? All right, a motion and a second. And that passes 5-0. Thank you so much. Are there any Levine Act disclosures? Councilmember Heilman?
No.
Vice Mayor Byers? I do not have any. Councilmember Shine? Councilmember
No.
Meister? All right, wonderful. Adjournment motions. I'll start with my left.
No.
Nope. Nope. Councilmember Meister.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to adjourn tonight's meeting in memory of Angie Beckett. She was a trailblazer and steadfast advocate for environmental preservation in the city of West Hollywood. As executive director of the West Hollywood Tree Preservation Society, Angie was instrumental in protecting the city's urban forest, contributing to the adoption of the Heritage Tree Program and Urban Forest Management Plan. Her leadership and dedication earned her the title of Urban Forest Preservation Champion during the 2021 Green City Awards. Angie's legacy of championing sustainability, especially in a field often dominated by men, leaves an indelible mark on our community. We extend our deepest condolences to her family, friends, and all those who were inspired by her extraordinary work.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Meister. Councilmember Shine, do you have any adjournment motions?
No, I don't.
Thank you. I have two, and I'm hopefully just going to pull up the other one. One sec. Hold on one second. All right, my first one is in memory of Dane Brown. Tonight we're adjourning, I ask we adjourn in memory of Dane Brown, a resilient individual who courageously survived a 2019 drug overdose and helped prompt an investigation into the actions of Democratic donor and activist Ed Buck. Dane's bravery brought critical attention to the issues of injustice and exploitation, shedding light on the struggles faced by marginalized communities. His recent passing is a profound loss by many in the community, and we extend our condolences to his family and friends and all those impacted by his story, and thank him for the work that he did to bring justice for the victims. Additionally, I would like to adjourn in memory of Theodore Olson, who was the former Solicitor General of the United States. Among some of his court cases, he was a champion for gay marriage and fought at the Supreme Court and knew many of us in the community and worked hard to fight for marriage equality. And he passed, I believe, over the weekend. So I would ask that we adjourn in his memory as well. All right, we are going to move right on to presentations. First, Stepan, come right on back up. We got a little certificate for you. All right. Next up, I wanted to bring about a local business owner who I was so happy, and I've been honored to really get to call him a friend over the past few months, and that is Dub's Organic Coffee Blends. And I would love to recognize them as an amazing local business in our city, but specifically as well, Black Events LA recently organized a monthly community walk on Saturday, November 9th to promote Dub's Organic Coffee. This event was spearheaded by Black Events LA founder Jocelyn C. Chambers, and it drew about 60 plus people to highlight the importance of patronizing Black-owned businesses in the greater Los Angeles area. Tonight, the City of West Hollywood proudly recognizes Dubs and its owner, Wally Muhammad. We thank you for your contributions as a local premier five-star cafe. Your participation in the recent community walk highlights the importance of supporting Black-owned businesses and fostering a more connected, inclusive, and vibrant West Hollywood. Thank you for your continued commitment to excellence, for always asking how much more you can do to help the city, and extending our best wishes to you on your ongoing success. And I also want to take a moment to thank all the people that you bring into our city every single day right there on Fountain Avenue to continue the work that you've always been doing to promote the local economy. And I've met so many amazing people by coming into your store. And if you haven't been to Dubs yet, I highly encourage you to go do so and see Wally right over here. So Wally, please come on up. And if Jocelyn is here, please come on up as well.
I do want to thank the City of West Hollywood for the recognition. I want to thank the City of West Hollywood for the recognition, for the things that I have done.
Speak a little louder.
I'm sorry. It feels really good to actually be recognized for the things that I do. especially because I do them naturally from my heart with no motive behind it. So I will continue to keep trying to do what I can for the city and just bring good people together and bring a great environment for the city, for people to come by and just get to know more people and build more community. So again, thank you very much for the opportunity, and I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for this incredible honor. It's such a pleasure to know Wally and to support Dub's Organic Coffee. Black Events LA likes to say that consistency is the definition of support. It's not performative activism where you go to a Black or queer-owned business once, post it on the internet, and say that you've done it. It's making those places your go-to, and I'm so proud to call Dub's one of my go-to coffee shops that I enjoy, and I am so happy to highlight them to the Black Events LA community and make sure that it's one of their go-to places that they can support. So thank you for honoring us. It means a lot.
Thank you so much for all that you both do. And I'll see you probably this week. Wonderful. Next, I would like to honor a longtime LAUSD employee, Rubidio Ortiz, who goes by Ruby, I hear. But I've been given very specific instructions to make sure I use your full name tonight, just so you're aware. So at this time, I would love to honor and acknowledge you for your long committing service to the Los Angeles Unified School District as you retire later this month. Ms. Ortiz currently serves as an officer technician at West Hollywood Elementary School and has been there for the last 10 years. She has been an employee with LAUSD for a total of 24 years. The City of West Hollywood honors your dedication, professionalism, and impactful contributions which have enriched our community and the lives of countless students and staff, and we wish you all the best in your next chapter in your life, retirement. And I would love to ask you to come on up and accept this proclamation on behalf of the city to you.
Good evening, West City of West Hollywood. I just want to say thanks for the great opportunity of having me this time. Many years working, serving the students, the community. And also, I want to take this little time to say thank you for my angel. I have an angel when I started going as an office technician at LeConte Middle School. Her name is Osanita. I call her Osanita, but her name is Osana Petrosian. We started working together in 2005, and now I am finishing also this time working with her. Now she is the office manager, and I want to say a big thanks to her. She's here with her sister, and also thank you for Dr. Lehman because she gave me the opportunity to be among all of you. And thank you for everything, and I wish you the best in this future time also. Thank you, Mayor Erickson. I appreciate everything. Thank you
so much. Thank you for your service to the community. It's just a West Hollywood Elementary kind of night, Principal over here, so you're great. Thank you so much. All right, our last proclamation tonight is in recognition of International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Whereas International Day for the Elimination of the Violence Against Women is a call to action by the UN Women and the United Nations entity dedicated to gender equity and the empowerment of women to address the crisis of gender-based violence. This day amplifies the message that there is #no excuse for violence against women and girls. And whereas for at least 51,100 women in 2023, the cycle of gender-based violence ended one final and brutal act, their murder by partners or family members, which means a woman was killed every 10 minutes. And whereas International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women will mark the launch of the Unite campaign on November 25th, 2024, an initiative of 16 days of activism concluding on December 10th, 2024, which is International Human Rights Day. And whereas the theme of Unite campaign is every 10 minutes a woman is killed, #no excuse, unite to end violence against women, which will draw attention to the alarming escalation of violence against women to revitalize commitments, call for accountability and action from decision makers. Now therefore let it be resolved that the City Council of the City of West Hollywood hereby proclaims November 25th, 2024 as International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women and urges community members to participate in the Unite campaign's 16 days of activism to help globally and gender-based violence. I would like to invite, I believe, Deborah and Angela, as well as Dash, from the Women's Advisory Board, up to accept this proclamation.
All right, so you already said a lot of what I'm going to say, so excuse me if you hear the same thing a couple times. It says it takes 3 times for it to really sink. But hello, Council. I'm Angela De Silva, and this is Deborah Turek. We are from the Women's Advisory Board, and I am here to talk about the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women and the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, observed on November 25th, a week from today. It is used to raise awareness of the violence. Okay, he's going down. Okay, sorry. All right, where was I? It is used to raise awareness of the violence women face, including rape and DV, and it marks the launch of the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence campaign led by the UN Women until December 10th, which is Human Rights Day. The slogan is #no excuse, which calls for urgent investments to prevent violence against women and girls. Objectives include encouraging everyone to be an ally in preventing violence, mobilizing member states to allocate national budgets for prevention, and advocate for increased support and investment in women's rights organizations. Now more than ever, protections for women are being threatened, and us as a board want to work with you, our council, to create actions to provide actual support to women in need. We hope to increase our involvement with the UCLA Rape Treatment Center and sexual assault response teams, including working with other nonprofits to help support legislation to bring more centers, city, state, and nationwide. Did you know Cedars does not do rape kits? And if something happens here in West Hollywood, they have to go to UCLA. So fortunately, the UCLA Rape Treatment Center will provide an Uber, support, all of that. But think about the women in more suburban areas who might have to go a really long way to get this rape kit, which is the medical care they need if they want to press charges, etc. So that is a huge priority for us on the board. Oh, here we go. I lost my place. So we all know that West Hollywood has been the forefront of support for those in need. And I feel ahead of all the domestic violence intimate partner awareness month that we had in October, the upcoming events we're going to be having in February. There are more actions that we can take on top of the awareness campaigns and the possible events that will happen. Because as John said, every 10 minutes a woman is killed, and 1 in 3 have been subjected to physical or sexual abuse at least once in their life. From UN.org, the solution lies in robust responses, holding perpetrators accountable, and accelerated action through well-resourced national strategies and increased funding to women's rights movements. You can share online with hashtag #NoExcuse to help spread the word, and we will speak to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deborah, Angela, and Dash. Did we lose Dash? No, he's right there. Okay, great. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move right on to public comment. The City Council values your comments. However, pursuant to the Brown Act, the Council cannot take action on items not listed on the posted agenda. The public comment period is limited to 20 minutes with 2 minutes allotted for each speaker. This public comment period is to address the City Council on consent calendar items, other agenda items if the member of the public cannot be present at the time the item is considered, or items of general interest within the jurisdiction of the City Council. Another period is also reserved for general comment later in the meeting for those that could not be heard at this time. Public hearing testimony will be taken only at the time of the hearing. If you go over your 2 minutes and do not respond to the city clerk that your time has expired, your microphone will be muted. If you signed up on both consent calendar items and general public comment, as well as an item that was moved to consent calendar, you can take this public comment period to speak on the consent calendar items. You might also sign up to speak during the second public comment period for your public comment. Lastly, speakers should not bring any items to the podium other than a prepared written statement and/or materials. Madam City Clerk, how many speakers do we have tonight?
We have 10 in chambers and 1 on Zoom.
Is the one on Zoom on a consent calendar item, or
Yes.
it is? All right, let's go to Zoom first, please.
Okay.
And I'm gonna keep a timer like I always do.
First speaker on Zoom is Yola Dure. Yola, you'll have 2 minutes. Please press *6 to unmute.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a minute, please. Goodness. Evening again, I'm sorry. This past Saturday was a nightmare for me. From the smoke in the air, the division brought forward by some council members. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yes.
Oh. First responders were challenged enough by the fire at an auto shop on Highland and Fountain Avenue. But what if there were just 2 lanes on Fountain? What then? And what if I needed a paramedic for my COPD or my cancer? Today, as I am speaking to you, my focus is not on bikes or bike lanes, but on emergency access. Simply put, accessibility is mandatory, and it should be for our community's safety. Many residents are concerned about Fountain Avenue as they weren't notified of the total ramifications of the project. Safety and our future is in your hands. I am humbly requesting that you delay any actions on this project until several meetings with the public take place. Initially, I would hope you will go to the Disabilities Advisory Board, as they have concerns too, as do I. I thank you in advance for your assistance in this matter. Nice evening and a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Yola. Next up, we will go back to chambers. We'll have Stephanie Harker, followed will be Kathy Blavis.
Good evening. Pardon me, Stephanie Harker, City of West Hollywood. I wanted to speak on B8 and specifically on the capital projects, many of which I'm thrilled about. Glasses. Didn't know I was going to be first out of the chute. From the Playhouse, which is wonderful, to the Hart Park finally coming about. We've been talking about making that ADA compliant for the last 10 years, probably. We should have spoken about it since we became a city, even though LA, we were the stewards of it, even though LA owns it, Hart Park. So that's exciting that that's coming forward. Elsie Weissman's house, also known as the Laurel House. I think I spoke to Historic Preservation once about calling it from going forward either the Linnick Weissman House or the Weissman House to honor her gift to the city. And many, many things on there, great. Looking forward to the dog park in Plummer Park and getting that underway finally with the historic buildings. But the streetscape project, which is what it was called from August 21st, 2023, I'm still rather confused about how that steering committee came about. I'm so sorry that it wasn't discussed by all of you to become a Brown Act meeting, because it has not been Brown Acted. The citizens are in the dark about what's been transpiring in those meetings, and 3 people from from Fountain Avenue have not been included in it yet, and it's kind of the horse has left the barn and the riders don't seem to be on it. So I do hope that there'll be more outreach and we can know what's going on with that project.
Thank you, Stephanie. Next up, Kathy Blavis, to be followed by Mikey Friedman.
Hi, good evening, Kathy Blavis, City of West Hollywood. I too am speaking about B8. I also am excited about many of the things that are happening. I don't know beyond a surface parking lot what's happening at Crescent Heights, but I personally would love to see solar panels shading the cars. I've seen that at a lot of other parking structures, and I think it would be very beneficial for our city that's so concerned with climate change and everything. I'm very excited, obviously, about the changes at Plummer Park. I have concerns. I'm hoping that both at Plummer Park and at Laurel House that historic preservation, I know they've already been included, but I hope the preservation and restoration of those buildings are going to be key and foremost. Fountain Avenue. I just don't know how we got here, and I've said it all along. I really feel that community was left out, and I really hope it doesn't proceed much further without really, truly engaging community. Real briefly, in terms of the elections, there's never been a level playing field on any election, whether you're running for student president in junior high school, and the fact that the field was so clearly taken over by outside interests is very troubling. It's very concerning, and I just hope that moving forward, that special interests are not going to be just nodded to when things come before this council. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mikey Friedman, to be followed by Sarah Adelson.
Mikey Friedman, WeHo. Thanks to spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, Unite Here and Streets for All won our election. Streets for All even sent out an email bragging that they now control our city council and several others, and that Fountain Avenue is now a done deal whether we like it or not. But there was such a huge fire Saturday at Fountain and Highland that the fire department had to call for backup. Imagine how slow it would have been for first responders if there had only been one lane in each direction on Fountain. This is hardly a beacon of light for us, John. Also regarding the election, it was covered on online news sites, all of which allow comments. Some commenters identified themselves, but some, under a cloak of anonymity, spewed garbage about those not backing Erickson and Hang. Alan Strasberg and George Nickel got the brunt of it. They even posted snark about George under the fake name Mikey Strasberg. About me, they said, anonymously of course, that I'm not a nice person, that people are tired of me, and I'm mentally ill. Well, I guess it's obvious that they are tired of me. They are. And if I'm a little twisted, it's part of my charm. Meanwhile, they're too chicken to even own their slurs. And little old nasty me won 2 awards. Oh, and they said no one likes my wacky songs. So I'll sing a new one. Oh, Danny Hang, Unite Here is calling, and Streets for All, they paid a lot for you. Dance on their string, obey them with no stalling. You got your wish, but you'll pay the devil his due. Byers and Erickson, too.
Thank you so much, Mikey. Such a lovely song. Sarah Adolphson to be followed by Jonathan Wilson.
I think every time I follow a song.
It's questionable whether or not, but we'll see. Thanks, Sarah.
Good evening, Mayor Erickson. Congratulations again. Vice Mayor, council members, thank you for having me tonight. My name is Sarah Adolphson. I'm here representing the Human Services Commission. As you know, a Human Services Commissioner attends city council meetings to share information with the community about essential social services provided by our city's partners. This month is Transgender Awareness Month, and this Wednesday marks the Transgender Day of Remembrance. In this year alone, over 660 anti-trans bills have been introduced across this country, impacting areas such as education, healthcare, and employment, among so many others. Transgender people are more than 4 times as likely than cisgender people to be the victims of violent crime. And transgender individuals experience homelessness at significantly higher rates than their cisgender peers, with approximately 56% having faced homelessness at some point in their life. So, to better our transgender and gender nonconforming community members, the city collaborates with various nonprofits, including the Trans Latina Coalition, which advocates for the needs of transgender, intersex, and gender nonconforming community members, and offers a drop-in center, daily meals, street outreach, shelter, workforce development, transportation, and emergency financial assistance. The Trans Wellness Center offers case management, support groups, meals, clothing, mental health services, legal assistance, computer access, employment support, and medical services. The Connie Norman Center provides high-quality HIV care and serves as a collaborative space for trans-led organizations, offering them a place to work, advocate, and find affirmation. If you are a transgender, intersex, non-binary, or gender non-conforming community member and need these support services, please visit weho.org or call the city's Human Services Division at 323-848-6510. Thank you.
Perfectly timed, Sarah. Thank you so much. Jonathan Wilson to be followed by Aaron Cohen. Hold on.
Thank you.
Please, Annie, do not.
I'm sorry I don't have a song for you. My name is Jonathan Wilson. I am here representing 3 different entities. One, as a board member for the Chamber of Commerce, for the West Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. Another as CEO of Dub Value Creation, and another as a private resident. And we wanted to actually congratulate John Erickson and Danny Hang on their win, and just look forward to working with you over the course of the next 2 years, and just say thank you again for all you're about to do, and excited to work with you.
Thank you. Very quick, Jonathan. There you go. Aaron Cohen to be followed by Rick Watts.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Aaron. I work across the street. The issue I want to bring to you is about the crosswalk, literally right here outside. It's a crosswalk I probably use several times a day. I believe it's in a good location, however, it doesn't serve its purpose as much. About a couple of weeks ago, I almost got ran over by a car. There have been times that I've been stuck in what I like to call the island over there. Cars don't slow down, cars don't stop. It is a downhill speed. I believe that the solution, rather than it being these tiny little lights where you can't see during the day, it should be one of those where it's a red light stopping where it goes for like 10, 20 seconds so people can cross the street normally. Other than that, that's pretty much it. And I hope you guys can fix it, especially since I'm giving express notice that hopefully someone doesn't get injured or ran by a car, and last thing you want is a lawsuit.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
And Aaron, Danny Rivas is back there and some of our public safety personnel, so maybe you can chat with them about some other things you may or may not see, so that way we can, just get your contact information to follow up with you.
Sure, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Rick Watts to be followed by Jacob Shaw.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Rick Watts, City of West Hollywood. I want to thank everybody that was involved in the election that was just held. Needless to say, I didn't vote for everybody, and I'm sure that's pretty much the case with everybody here and up there on the dais. That there were races that we were not pleased with the outcomes on. That said, we have a city that needs to be run. We have a country that needs to be run. And it needs to be run for the benefit of all, whether those are persons who voted for you or other office holders or not. I congratulate those who ran unsuccessfully because they helped to raise issues that need attention. Mr. Cohen, who was just up here, for example, and I'd like to endorse his suggestion that the crosswalk up there perhaps be upgraded to a pedestrian-activated flashing red light. But we've got to, I think it bears also mentioning that the people that most need looking out for are the most vulnerable in society, whether it is our homeless sisters and brothers, our transgender sisters and brothers, the poor, the disabled, seniors, persons on fixed incomes, renters that are living at life's edge because of the shortage of affordable housing. There's a lot to do, and we all have to work together to do that. I want to remind just a quote that comes to mind from A Christmas Carol, and it is about the two children that were coming out underneath the robes of the Spirit of Christmas present. And the Spirit said that those children are man's, and they...
Thank you so much, Rick. We're going to move on to Jacob Shaw, to be followed by David Wood. And David, you may be our last public comment. I was like, you're not David. David, you may be our last public commenter.
All right, good evening. My name is Jacob Shaw. I'm the executive chair of the events at the board of the Chamber of Commerce and business owner in the city of West Hollywood. I'd like to offer my congratulations to Mayor John Erickson and Danny Hang. And I would like to thank everyone for what was kind of a tough election in this city, and I think tougher than it needed to be. I think that we all need to sit down and talk to one another a little bit more openly, and I would like to thank John and Danny for being part of that and starting that voice, and I would like to express my sincere thanks and my sincere participation in that conversation, because I believe we need to make the city of West Hollywood better for everybody, not just businesses, not just residents, but for everyone. And I just want to thank you for, from the bottom of my heart and for your service to our city. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacob. David Wood. And then we will have time for you, Annie, right here, so because they're finishing short.
Good evening. My name is David Wood. I'm a small business owner in the city of West Hollywood, and I'm also chair of the West Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. I come in peace. I just want to thank and congratulate Mayor Erickson for his re-election, for Danny Hang for his election, and 2025 is a new year, and we're going to look forward to working with Councilperson Hyman, Councilmember Meister, and Ms. Byers for the upcoming year, and we hope things work out well. And Councilperson Shine, thank you for your service. We look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's Vice Mayor Byers, David, just so you know. Thank you. Annie, you will be our last. Is there any more? Did I miss any more? No. Annie, you are our last public commenter. Thank you.
Be nice if you actually corrected your language, but whatever. Question. So, y'all gonna kiss the ring? You gonna have fun?
when, you know, Steve Miller says he's going to create a red state army and he's going to challenge the liberal states and the local law enforcement, your fucking gangs here, your fucking LASD dogs, who are they going to fucking wrangle? The goddamn gangs. You, Seppi, reported LASD gangs back in 2023, am I right? We all know this, LA Times and all that stuff. But here's the thing, I don't even have to ask you that. You're all gonna fucking do it every time you salute and take an oath. You're fucking kissing the ring. RFK Jr. had just said that he's gonna put people who use any type of depression pills in fucking labor camps for 3 to 4 years. And you're all acting like it's fucking business as fucking usual? What, is today Trans Day of Remembrance? Why does this trans person have to wear a fucking bulletproof vest to come to a city fucking council meeting? I have to walk around with this shit every fucking day. Trans Day of Remembrance? When are you just gonna remember me and I'm a speck of dust in your piece of shit fucking history books? You post my face on the side of the fucking construction yard? Shit! Silence equals death on your construction yard? Shit! The construction yard is the least thing that's silent! Fuck, man! I keep saying you're all gonna get me killed, but you know, I keep coming from these court cases, from getting my eviction cases and all this shit. All these program services that keep getting listed, I don't have access to. I even tried to partner with them as a nonprofit, and they refuse because I keep pointing out how much they just take in fucking money and pay staff and don't actually do shit. I'm trying to house people while these people are trying to provide fucking scraps. That's all you ever fucking do. Why do I have to wear this thing?
Thank you so much, Annie. All right, we are going to move right on to City Manager's Report. Have a lovely evening. We are going to move right on to the City Manager's Report. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Just a few comments today. Thank you to all the public commenters that offered congratulations for the election. We did have 2 council seats that were up for election, as well as a sales tax initiative, which is currently leading. Once the votes are certified by the county, the city clerk will bring back an item to certify the elections. I want to welcome and invite, I guess, everyone to celebrate 40 years of cityhood by joining us at West Hollywood Day and State of the Community celebration on Thursday, November 21st, beginning at 5:30 p.m. in the Silver Screen Theater at the Pacific Design Center across the street. To RSVP, you can go to www.weho.org/WehoDay. And then lastly, item 5B on the consent calendar was the final legislative update of the 2023-2024 session of the California State Legislature. It included an update on the builder's remedy legislation, and I wanted to have our city attorney, Lauren Langer, just provide a brief update on that.
Sure, thank you. Earlier this year, the City Council provided direction to staff to see if working with our government affairs liaison and our lobbyist, if we could get any special legislation or amendments to some of the builder's remedy bills adopted up in Sacramento. And so myself, the government affairs liaison, Nick Marisich, the community development director, and our lobbyists up in Sacramento scheduled many, many meetings with our representatives up in Sacramento, some of which who represent West Hollywood directly, and others who are leading the charge and intimately involved in the builder's remedy issue. For those who don't know, the builder's remedy is a provision of state law that says in cities that don't have a substantially compliant housing element, certain development applications can be submitted to the city and not have to comply with development standards in the code for the period of time that the city is out of compliance with their housing element law. So this was a very politically charged topic up in Sacramento, everyone was willing to meet with us and hear West Hollywood's story and hear how West Hollywood is a good actor and has always put housing first and is even a pro-housing designated city. And we're very sympathetic to West Hollywood's situation of having some builder's remedy applications having been filed before the city's housing element was certified. However, there was so much momentum in Sacramento to get certain changes done to the law that nobody was willing to accept friendly amendments from good actor cities, and unfortunately, no changes that we had proposed to the bill were included in the legislation that was ultimately passed. The legislation that was passed was very laser focused to deal with the builder's remedy issue looking forward. They realized that it's chaotic and it had no parameters, and so they created a program for builder's remedy projects looking forward for cities that are not in compliance with housing element law. Now cities will know in advance what the real ramifications are of not having a certified housing element. And one thing that they did was let existing applications opt into the new program, but they were not open to legislative changes that we had proposed that would have made it easier for West Hollywood to navigate the builder's remedy situation. Some of the changes that were implemented were to include maximum density limits and some parameters around builder's remedy projects for future projects that are applied for down the road. Staff will continue to implement the council's other direction to work with the builder's remedy applicants on the project components that are currently pending, and we'll report back on that at another time. But I wanted to give the legislative update while this other item was on the consent calendar for tonight.
Great. That concludes your comments.
That concludes my comments.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, we are going to move right on to the fiscal impact on tonight's consent calendar. Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. The fiscal impact on tonight's consent calendar with the addition of items F3 and F4 is $348,800 in expenditures, $699,646 in revenue, and $3,200 in waived fees. And with that, I see that there is a motion and a second to adopt tonight's consent calendar. And the motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. That concludes the consent calendar. We have no public hearings. We have no legislative. And we are going to go to unfinished business. Our first one, E1. Do we want a staff report on this? Council, my colleagues, no staff report? Are you okay with that? Okay. Well, we're going to have our amazing staff come on up and take a seat no matter what. And then we're going to go for an agreement for services with Tenacity, LLC for pickleball and tennis concessions, operations, and services. We will go right to questions from my colleagues for staff. None, 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 none. We will move right on to public comment. Thank you. You just got whiplash by what we did, didn't you, Yvonne? Okay, there we go. You're good. All right, great. We're going to move right on to public comment. Zen Tara, to be followed by Cole Etman. And apologies if I say your name wrong.
As a professional pickleball player.
Can you pull the mic a little forward?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks. Zentara, West Hollywood. As a professional pickleball player, as a professional pickleball coach and tennis coach, I've committed over a year to this RFP process. And even though my company was not selected, I stand here this evening in support of Tenacity and ask the council to go ahead and approve this concession. After the signing of the contract, I would also ask that the city expedite the facility repairs and upgrades so that this growing community can provide the best possible services and support in a safe, inclusive environment. And again, thank you to the staff for the report and excellent community outreach. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Cole Etman, to be followed by David Flate.
Hi, council members. Cole Ettman, former Public Facilities Commissioner in West Hollywood, also an avid pickleball player, and I'm on the courts now every morning. I was originally one of the naysayers, even complaining at a PFC commission meeting and reaching out to some of you. And today I'm speaking to you as a representative of Tenacity LLC. After the last council decision regarding Tenacity's contract, the owner reached out to myself and West Hollywood resident Jeff Bartha to get help with righting the ship. We felt they were sincere in their objectives and they wholeheartedly listened to the community's concerns. There were surveys and focus groups which helped identify bright spots and areas for improvement. Much has happened over the past 6 months. Upgraded booking systems, free open plays with live ball, more classes, new pickleball instructors that are from our community, brand new nets, league play, and more. Most importantly, due to both the company's efforts, warm staff, and these improvements, the overall atmosphere has changed for the better, and there are countless happy players on the court. As you can see, the community agrees. There are over 50 support comments and emails which have been submitted on this item tonight. Tennis and pickleball players alike, asking that you extend Tenacity's contract to provide uninterrupted services on the West Hollywood courts. I think we will find that this company, along with city staff, are leading the way in innovation and service not seen in many other municipalities amongst us. Back to pickleball for just a moment. Through the surveys and the outreach, we have found that most tennis players and all pickleball players agree on one thing. It is important for there to be designated pickleball on courts 6 and 7. This will help meet the demand for pickleball and foster better community amongst players. We're hopeful the city will instruct staff to make this change. We invite all of you to come join us on the courts, whether to play or spectate, and be a part of the racket community. Thank you for your consideration in voting to approve item E1.
Thank you, Cole. David Flate, to be followed by Max Oswald. Little dance in the aisle right there.
Hello, I'm David Flate, and I was actually here last time in support of Tenacity. I still am. I'm very happy to hear the last 2 speakers who were not are. I do see the program got better and better over the last 6 months. There is more play, there's more league nights, there's more open play. It's a totally fun experience up there. The nets are great. Josh, Max, Fabio, the support staff have all been doing a great job and are very considerate. So I am still in support of Tenacity moving forward with the contract for the city of West Hollywood. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. Max Oswald, to be followed by Marina Sullivan.
Good evening. First, congrats to Mayor Erickson and Denny Hang. We look forward to hopefully working with you and the rest of council to continue growing tennis and pickleball in West Hollywood. I want to thank you to the council for the last 6 months to dial in deeper with the community through the focus groups and the feedback forums. It's been extremely helpful for us. It's helped us to know what was working, what we can improve on, and we've sort of built in, and it's been great. A special thank you to staff, to Stephanie Martinez, Michael Gaska, and Dana Hadid for leading that. Thank you guys so much for all that you do for us. Thank you to the PFC for being a sounding board for the community, also being very helpful as we've now built in some processes to work with them. A big special thank you to the Block by Block. Nobody really ever thanks them, but they're everywhere all the time. They're like our silent community partner, and we're extremely grateful to the city for you providing them. It's very helpful in the parks in general, so thank you. We sent you a memo with all that we've been up to for the last 6 months, so I won't bore you with more of that. I want to echo what a few players will say and hopefully have said. We need dedicated pickleball courts in West Hollywood. Everybody agrees it would be extremely helpful to the community. I would look forward to discussing and talking how we could do that and help fast track that. And I hope that you see how much we care about the West Hollywood community and hope that you ratify our new contract today so that we can continue to grow and service the West Hollywood pickleball and tennis community. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Max. Marina Sullivan, to be followed by Josh Oswald.
And congratulations, Mayor Erickson.
As a member of the LA LGBT Senior Center, yes, we call it senior down out there, for people 50 and up, and I was newly appointed today to our new advocacy board for senior engagement and advocacy. So we have been taking tennis, some of us, for several months. They have been fantastic. It was easy for us to join. Our Daniel, our teacher, is fabulous. He's so patient with us. And we have one of our members is also taking pickleball. And she said everything's going fine. We want this to continue. We will be able, we're promised through 12/31, but if the contract gets extended, we will also be able to do that. And when I'm a member of the Rainbow Notes at the center, and we had to change because we have, because there was a conflict of a half an hour, and they moved it so that to accommodate us. So I just please extend the contract.
Josh Oswald to be followed by Kathy Blavis.
Hello, everybody, and I know we spoke last meeting. We had some
Will you speak
concerns.
into the mic?
Sorry, I know there were some concerns about a lot of the things that were happening with pickleball and tennis. I just want to say that I'm here really just in a place of gratitude because we've had 6 extra months to really improve the things that we've done. I think what's really come to light for me is just that, or has been reinforced, is just how important pickleball has become, particularly, but how important recreation is just in general to the lifeblood of a community. Recreation is recreate, and that's what people come to do to the parks, and we know this. Our staff knows this. A lot of things come out in that process of recreating. I spent my lifetime in racket sports as a player, as a coach, working the desks, managing it, you name it. It's been a real pleasure, and I'm very thankful to you guys, everybody, for giving us an opportunity even this past 3 or 4 years for me to get a chance to do something it's really my life's work, and I really am grateful for that. I want to also say I'm extremely grateful for our staff, okay, our manager, Gina Solis, our other manager, Crystal. They do so much. Fabiano, who works at the tennis courts, is just an unbelievable presence there. Fabio, who's upstairs right now, I was just up there. The vibe is unbelievable. It's really a great staff. Thank you to the rec staff. You guys have an unbelievably dedicated team over there. Working with them is a pleasure. And most of all, I want to thank the players. They have written in over 51, I guess, comments. It's blown me away. Didn't expect that. All positive, and very thankful to City of West Hollywood.
Thank you so much, Josh. Kathy Blavis will be followed by our final public speaker, James Princevele.
Good evening, Kathy Blavis, City of West Hollywood. Surprisingly, I don't play tennis and I don't play pickleball, but I do like to watch. So I want to commend the council for the process that turned this around from the last time. And I just, again, want to point out, when this came before council a few months ago, it was brought back because the council felt there was not sufficient outreach and input. And again, that's all the community is asking for with regard to Fountain Avenue, bike lanes, and streetscape. And you see tonight from comments that you've gotten that there are people who were against this continuation of the contract and whose minds were changed. So I'm just pointing out the obvious, that the process works, and it would be really nice if the community had the opportunity with Fountain Avenue to do the same thing. So I am in full support of Tenacity. I think they're doing a great job at the park. And again, I commend the council for this process. Thank you.
I see the other public, okay. All right, great. We're going to go to council member comments. Do my colleagues have any comments? Councilmember Hyman?
No, I want to thank everyone who came out and to speak tonight. I also want to thank the people from Tenacity for their hard work listening to the community and making improvements, and I want to thank our staff. I was prepared to grant the longer concession the last time this came to us, but I think the work that has been done has even increased my desire to continue this contract with Tenacity.
Thank you. Councilmember Shine.
Thank you. I just want to thank the public as well for coming out, and staff for working with the public, and Tenacity and really taking our directions to heart, and Tenacity for doing an incredible job working with the community. Really loved seeing the expanded pickleball offerings and what's before us. And I actually am supportive as well of accepting this agreement. And I would actually like to give direction that Plummer Park Courts 6 and 7 become permanent pickleball courts. We've heard it from Tenacity, we've heard it from the public, and so I would love for my colleagues to hopefully join with that and then accept this contract in that way.
Councilmember Meister.
Yeah, I'd just like to know where courts 6 and 7 are located.
They're the ones right by the Great Lawn. So you have the Great Lawn. They're the ones that are immediately, if you're looking from Fiesta Hall, straight on.
Okay, so
Everyone, that's not on our agenda tonight. Yeah. So I think we can only deal with the thing that's on the agenda, which is continuing the concession.
I don't actually agree with that. I think we can give direction when we can ask the city attorney, because the concessions there are at least giving some type of direction. This has to do with our contract with the concessionaire, and
why don't we get through the rest of our comments, and we can go into some discussion. Councilmember
well,
Meister.
without getting into it too much, what I would like to say is I actually have concerns about the locations of 6 and 7 being pickleball, because pickleball is louder than tennis, is my understanding. And that those particular courts face the residents on Vista. So what I would suggest is that we come back with an item where we look at which courts would make most sense if we're going to make any courts specifically one or the other, pickleball or tennis. So that would be my suggestion, and I'm very supportive. I'm happy to hear that that people are glad about all the changes that have been made, and I thank staff for doing market research and doing those focus groups and those surveys, because they do make a difference. And I appreciate Tenacity's pivoting and making whatever changes needed to be made to make your constituents and our constituents happier.
Thank you, council member. I just want to say thank you for pointing that out. And perhaps we can give direction as you stated, and I'm in agreement that an item come back to us after discussion between staff and Tenacity as to which courts would be best to make permanent for pickleball.
Great. Vice Mayor Byers.
I just also want to say thank you so much for putting in the work to bring this community together, to ensure that these courts are a place where everyone can find their joy when it comes to recreation. I'm really grateful for how much you dug in, and all throughout the process I heard really glowing feedback from community who was really thrilled to get the services that they had hoped for. So just thank you for bringing this community together around this issue, and I look forward to supporting this contract and whatever else is to come on these courts.
Thank you, yes. And that, Councilmember Shine, you beat me to it, but I did want to just know if, because in the report from you all, one of the comments was availability and the conflicts that arises. If at a future meeting, or if we were to do an item to make 6 and 7 permanent, would that permanency, and maybe you can't answer this now, help with some of these concerns?
Yes, we can definitely look at that, but we'll definitely have to work with
Wonderful.
our facilities team to do that. But we can certainly come back with some options and give you an update.
Wonderful. Councilmember Heilman.
I wanted to also throw in the mix that we have been talking with LA Unified School District about making some of their spaces available, and most of those spaces would probably be more appropriate for pickleball rather than tennis. So as staff looks at trying to create more opportunities for pickleball courts, I hope that they will consider that and factor that in as we look at things.
And I believe, City Manager Wilson, we also are talking with the City of LA still on Poinsettia Park for potential use of those courts in a joint use agreement?
Yes, yes, we are. And I just want to add also, as part of the budget this year, the council approved bringing in a professional to look at our facilities, our recreation facilities and operations, and we're in conversations for that right now. And so maybe by spring we would be able to come back and have someone from outside actually look at that and the use for pickleball courts as well.
Yes, and Mayor Erickson, I did follow up with the county to meet with them as well, so I'll be meeting with them in the next few weeks to discuss Poinsettia Park and other options that we will be able to enter into an agreement with for additional courts.
Wonderful. And before, if one of my colleagues wants to make a motion, given the additional direction, which just for the record will be to come back at a future meeting to look at the permanency of a permanent pickleball court, and we'll leave that at that and not give specific court numbers. But I too, before we take the vote, just want to thank everyone for allowing these extra time to meet with everyone, talk with everyone. I want to thank, let's see who spoke, Cole and other individuals who really kind of went in and did, you know, the work directly there with the individuals. And luckily we have a very robust, you know, pickleball people are very shy. Right, and so, but it was great to see that happen. So with that, there is a motion and a second with the direction additionally, and we'll take a vote. And that passes 5-0. All right, moving right along, we're going to move on to E2, allowing patrons other than hotel guests at restaurants within residential zoned hotels. I would like a staff report on this, if my colleagues are okay with that. Wonderful. And we'll have our amazing staff come on down. And it's only 7:06, so I'm jinxing us now. Shit. Yeah, I'm totally jinxing us now. We're going to be here till like 5 in the morning. I'm joking. We won't be here that late. This ain't Santa Monica. All right, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Nick Marisich, Community Development Director, joined by my colleagues, Jennifer Alkire, our Assistant Director of Community Development, who will be giving a presentation this evening on this item, as well as our Long Range Planning Manager, Francisco Contreras. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you. I have a very brief staff report, but I'm here for any questions. So this item is in a response to direction that was given last March to find a way to allow for hotels within residential zoning districts to serve patrons other than hotel guests. The restriction on restaurants patrons was placed in the conditional use permits issued to each of these residentially zoned hotels following a 1988 settlement agreement. After that, the zoning code was updated to allow a path for these businesses to get a conditional use permit to allow for patrons other than hotel guests. One of those hotels has moved forward with that process, but there are, I think, 3 that have not. So what we're seeking for the council direction to do is to work with the hotel owners to obtain the information needed for an application, to waive the planning fees typically associated with amending a conditional use permit application, to ask the Planning Commission to consider waiving or reducing any additional parking requirements that would be associated with this change, pending the analysis for individually for each hotel on what they would need and whether that was appropriate, and to bring all of these amendments forward as one fully noticed public hearing before the Planning Commission to make these changes all at one time. So the analysis for each of these affected hotels would be done individually, and we would bring that all to the Planning Commission. No other changes for hotel operations would be part of that item. Any other changes requested by each hotel would be evaluated individually and taken through a normal process for amending the CUP. And so that's what we're asking for in terms of direction for the residentially zoned hotels. Now, we also know that there's an item pending that is for a ZTA associated with hotel rooftops in all zones. That is completely separate. I know it often gets confused because they're kind of tracking along the same timeline, but it's a completely separate process, or a completely separate item. But we did want to check in and just get direction and confirm that the council is still desiring us to bring that forward as well. So that concludes my report to you, and if you have any questions, we are here to answer them.
Great. We'll see if my colleagues have questions. Councilmember Weiss, do you have questions? Councilmember Shine?
I do. I just wanted to get some clarifications. So this is a amendment that, so essentially you're going to the hotels and inviting them to come together as a group to file individually and then bringing it all to Planning Commission all at once.
Correct, yes.
Would the hotels be able to do this on their own?
They could, yes.
They could. Okay. All right, that answers my question. Thank you.
Councilmember Heilman.
Yeah, and I just wanted to clarify that these were conditions that the city imposed as part of a settlement. We waived the conditions during COVID and allowed the restaurants to serve the hotels to serve non-hotel guests. We had no problems with that, correct?
That is correct, yes.
All right. And then you mentioned potential parking requirements. Why would there be any change in parking? The restaurants are not changing in size, they're existing restaurants. So why would there be potentially any parking changes?
There really shouldn't be. It would be, yeah, there probably wouldn't be. It just, if we encountered that, we wanted to make sure that we were putting it out there that that could be something that the Planning Commission takes into consideration.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Yes, of course.
So Jennifer, have there been any complaints regarding parking when we, during COVID, when we did allow for non-hotel guests to be served?
None that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Vice Mayor Byers, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I guess my question with regards to parking was ensuring that the neighborhood doesn't feel the impacts of added guests, and that we are certain that the hotels have an ability to accommodate parking, either through staff and valet, through existing spots, just how that would be handled. So when I saw the parking, my thought was that we're looking at a parking plan to, but not necessarily needing them to build out more parking. I guess they're sort of one and the same, but.
Right, and that would be part of the analysis, yes. So if there is a need for additional parking, it could be off-site potentially or something like that.
Did that conclude your questions? Thank you. Councilmember Shine.
Can you, just a follow-up to my question then, can you, what is this settlement? So I asked if the hotels could bring this themselves, and you said yes. Is
right.
that?
When the city incorporated, there were these hotels that were in the areas that were zoned residential. Under the county's laws, this was an allowed use, but when the city took over, we said that it was only residential and no longer allowed hotels in those areas. And so the short answer is that they wanted to make some changes when the new ordinance came in, and they challenged the ordinance. There was a settlement agreement, and that was all happened shortly after incorporation. I was not here, so I'm reading the history, but I see that Councilmember Heilman has maybe wanted to add something.
Yeah, actually, the county approved these structures as apartments, hotels, so they could be operated either as apartments or hotels. We took the position that they had been renting them out as apartments and that they were not allowed to, what we said, convert to hotels. But they actually had county approvals, and most of them had some residents still left in, but a lot of them were already operating in a hotel capacity. So we entered into a settlement agreement that preserved the tenancies for the existing tenants and required all of them to contribute to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund over a period of time, but that period of time has since elapsed.
Okay, so then I just want to understand. So if this wasn't being driven by us, by staff, the hotels could bring individual and do their own work and bring individual requests to Planning Commission and
Right.
do the same thing that is happening. with
Correct.
this.
So after all of that happened, when we adopted the zoning ordinance, we created a path for these hotels to make certain changes. And one of those is to open their restaurants to members of the public that were not guests with the approval of a conditional use permit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. I just want to unpack this a little bit more. So I was initially supportive of this, but in understanding and doing my own research, so why didn't the hotels do this?
I don't know.
They've been in existence for what,
But
35 plus years? I don't know how old some of them are.
There are fees associated with it that could be a barrier. There is.
What are the fees?
I don't know offhand. It's
That's
in the
okay.
staff report that I don't have in front of me, but
That's okay.
But yes, there are. And it's in the range of several $1,000s. There's time associated. There is cost with putting the materials together. So, I don't know. I couldn't speak for them. Yes, the amount is $6,841.08.
So all it takes for them to do this is to go pay $6,841 plus some spare coins, I'm sure, and the process can begin.
So
And since all four of these hotels are owned by the same entity, it would just cost
I would
20.
say there are a number of requests here, and one of them is to waive fees. So if that's a consideration, the council could consider not waiving the fees. But I think there is efficiency for both the hotels and for the city in kind of taking this all at once if there's interest in doing so.
Got it. Thank you. I'll save the rest of my comments for later. I'm going to go to public comment. Eddie Diaz, to be followed by Danielle Wilson.
Hi, good evening, Honorable Mayor Erickson and City Council. My name is Eddie Diaz. I'm a cook at the W Hollywood, and I'm also a member of Unite Here Local 11. Also, I formerly worked at restaurants and hotels right here in West Hollywood. We should not be making it easier for hotels to make big changes like this to the restaurants. As a restaurant worker myself, I can tell you that the increasing foot traffic is a big change that workers like myself should be asked about. Some of these places are extremely understaffed. They overwork their employees. These big companies can afford to go through the regular process that already exists. Please reject this item.
Thank you so much. Danielle Wilson, to be followed by Adam Darvish, who's our final speaker, and then we'll have citizen position slips.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Erickson and Council. I didn't want to have to be against anything tonight. I really didn't. And you heard it in the opening comments. This is unnecessary. There's already a process by which hotels can do this. We're not talking about housing. We're not talking about homeless services. We're not talking about climate resiliency. We're not talking about any urgent need. We're talking about a giveaway to the hotel industry, to one particular owner, when our hotel industry is booming. It's doing better than ever before. This is not this is not the pandemic. Even then, it didn't make sense, but it really doesn't make sense now. So I urge you to reject this outright. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wilson. Adam Darvish, to be followed by no one, but citizen position slips. Sorry about that, Adam.
Good evening, Mayor Erickson. Congratulations for your re-election. And Danny Hank, I'm here. I wanted to first just stand here and look at each one of you in the eye. You know why I'm here on this topic. And I'm ashamed of this report that, I'm sorry to say this, but have you talked to any residents?
Adam, please address us.
Yeah, when one of them said that there was no issues, you all know that my life was almost ended by London Hotel for mismanaging the rooftop bar. I know this is a restaurant, but do you all know that the hotel next to me at the Circle, La Hermitage, has crime going on almost every weekend. This last Saturday night, I stayed up. The police cars were lined up in front of the hotel. There's nothing that the hotel did wrong, but it attracts criminals to that area because a lot of tourists come to the hotel, So the more traffic that come, the more problems for us residents. So I invite all of you to spend a Saturday night near one of those hotels. I know that Vice Mayor Byers lives close to one, but the one that I live close to, I think is the busiest one because of the location, but I urge you to think twice about this one. There are restaurants just down the street and up the street on Sunset and Santa Monica. Why do we need this? I don't understand it unless you want to punish the residents. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Adam. Do we have citizen petition slips?
Thank you, Mayor. We have one citizen petition slip from Stephanie Harker in support of the recommended item.
All right, we're gonna move on to council member comments. Councilmember Shine, would you like to go first on this?
Sure, thank you. I actually did not support this when it came before us, and I felt that we needed more resident input. I didn't understand why we would use staff time basically doing the work for hotels. And now I have more information that there has been and is a way for these hotels to use their own resources to come to us, and this is just a way to use our staff resources for them. I'm not in support of, absolutely not in support of the parking possibility of any kind, because these are in residential areas. The noise factor is an issue, and this isn't the Sunset Strip, and the potential noise from more use is a problem for me. Absolutely not in support of the rooftops. I think you asked us what we feel about the ZTA, not in support of the rooftops item, and no other changes. So my vote is a no on this, and I also agree that there hasn't been any outreach to workers, which is incredibly important as well for us to get their input and have them at the table as well. So.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Meister.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I guess I have a mixed opinions. On the rooftop, I think you know how I feel because I brought an item that said that we should be lessening rooftop impacts of rooftop uses rather than expanding them. So on the rooftop issue, I'm definitely a no. I guess I'm confused about where everyone's going with this. I thought that we put forward several items about waiving fees and trying to help our businesses to come back, after COVID and after a difficult economy. I saw this as a way for residential hotels to be able to be accessible to actually residents who live in the area, who probably made use of those hotels taking out food during COVID. I think that there are ways of mitigating. We can make sure that only hotels that have enough parking for the occupancy can get this. And if they don't have enough parking, then maybe they can't get this. So that has to be part of the conversation. But I think that if it's an indoor restaurant, or it's within a courtyard type setting and not on a rooftop, I honestly, I've been in some of those hotels and have seen nobody in the restaurants, and I would think that we would want our hotels to have restaurants that are being utilized. Again, these are just the residential hotels, not the commercial hotels. Has this already gone to it's gone to the Planning Commission?
This is not a zone text amendment, so it wouldn't go to Planning Commission first.
Afterwards?
We're just getting direction, and then we'll go to the Planning Commission for a hearing.
Okay. Did it go to long-range planning yet?
No, again, because it's not a policy item.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
All right.
I would just add, we brought this back to the council at the council's request, looking for a pathway. And so this was the pathway we determined in consultation with city attorney.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. So I'm open to hearing, all of my colleagues, and but those are just my thoughts on it.
Thank you, Councilmember Meister. Councilmember Heilman.
Thank you, and thank you to the people who spoke tonight. I just want to review that the council waived this requirement during COVID. It did not create any impact on the neighbors. There were no complaints. The council didn't charge any fees to the hotels. And what we're dealing with is not roof deck restaurants. We're dealing with restaurants that are fully enclosed and indoors. As I recall, and I may be losing my mind, but I think the last time this came here, Ms. Wilson actually spoke in favor of it. So I was surprised by her opposition tonight. I also want to point out that in terms of fairness, we've allowed a lot of the restaurants on the street to utilize sidewalks, to utilize outdoor spaces. Many of them have continued to do so, and we've tried to be very flexible with those restaurants. I don't see why we wouldn't try to provide some breaks for the restaurants that are operated within these residential hotels. As Councilmember Meister indicated, previously these restaurants were operated during COVID, and they primarily were serving not only hotel guests, but local residents who were not driving there, who were walking from the neighborhood to utilize the restaurant in their neighborhood. So I'm supportive of staff's direction.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Heilman. Vice Mayor Byers.
Thank you. I too saw this item as a lesson learned from the pandemic and a way to take a best practice that we gained in that time forward. Much like the utility of out zones, when we expand the capacity for businesses to do their work, more can be served by these entities. And we found that was a good thing in the pandemic. And I'm very much in favor of finding opportunities to streamline you all's work in a big way. And this seems like a very creative way to do that. Otherwise, I believe that we're just going to engage in a much redundancy and consume your time in ways that we don't want to see spent that way. Although I recognize how much time has been invested in this, which is why I believe I'm keen to move forward on this item. I do appreciate the caveat that Councilmember Meister brought up about, considering the impact of parking in the communities. I don't think I'm, supportive of the idea that parking would expand into off-site, into the neighborhoods. So I do want to think about strategies that keep that parking on-site and make sure that those businesses are able to house that extra capacity on-site. And it sounds like the process from here would be that Planning Commission would see that plan and approve it, depending on that. So they would still have a yes, no vote coming to this. It's not just a guarantee moving of approval. Okay, that's great to me. And in general, it does seem like, the goal here is to ensure that we continue to be good neighbors. I like the idea that all the businesses in our community are not just meant for people who are coming from out of town, but those who live in town as well. But centered to that is the idea that they're being good neighbors. So I do want to ensure that we are responsive to any concerns that come up, especially as this comes online, and take seriously that. So I believe I'm supportive of this. And when it comes to the rooftops, I do generally think I'm supportive of what that looks like, although there's much to be seen there. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. I guess when I initially was looking at this item and then now unpacking it, like Councilmember Shine mentioned, oh, before I start, did you have something that you wanted to follow up with? Okay. Was the understanding of the fact that they can already do this. So I guess that is like where my question is, right? Like, why are we here? Like, I'm not interested in waiving their fees. I'm not interested in the rooftop stuff. I'm happy to let them have breakfast and lunch to try that out. I'm happy to try a pilot program. I'm not interested in the parking requirements. I thought Councilmember Meister brought up a really great point about the different application of if people have a certain way to do the parking, if they meet it or not. That's, I think, interesting. I know this isn't the actual item itself, it's more general direction, but I think the public commenters are right as well, is that if the cost itself is already there for them to just go do this, why aren't they? And have we asked them? And the answer can be no, and that's okay, because I'm not saying that you were ever given direction to go, hey, George, like, you know, did you know, blah, blah. I don't know who George is. I'm just saying the name, right? Like if they're a general manager of a hotel. But I think this isn't fully cooked in many ways. Not your fault, but I think the idea itself is where I'm struggling to move forward. I want to help them, and I, and here's the thing. I've gone to La Park and had lunch. I guess I'm breaking the law, right? But everyone does it, right? So I'm even concerned that even if this item were to pass or fail, people are still gonna do it. Because, well, they do, trust me, that place was popping. And they were not hotel guests. But, and that's the thing, no one stops you at the front desk, no one asks you where you're going. So I'm just confused if this is already happening, how are we enforcing it? I don't know, I just have some conflicting problems with, even if we were to say no right here, it's still gonna happen. I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at. I don't know. So I have two colleagues that support it. I don't know where the couple of us are. I want to help our businesses in a way because I think it's an interesting opportunity, but I'm open to any conversation, and I'm going to go to Councilmember Meister to maybe string this through some hoops.
Yeah, well, no, I would just again say that I think this all came about because we were looking for incentives for our businesses to do more business. We know that this is going to, if this moves forward this evening, then it goes to Planning Commission, then it will get the feedback of the public, and hopefully there will be, substantial outreach to the public surrounding each of the hotels in question to make sure that those residents are aware of what is being proposed and that they have a place to comment at the Planning Commission hearing if it should get there. The other thing that I don't know if we can suggest it, or require it, is that maybe there are certain evenings that are, that residents can get discounts, or maybe there's some kind of discount program for residents who go to those restaurants in those hotels. So those would be my thoughts. I would say that we have parking as part of the evaluation, and also that they have to be, it has to be a facility that's not going to be outward facing or upward facing if it's not rooftops, to make sure that that excess noise does not happen. But we all know there are a certain number of tables. There's a certain limit to the occupancy. So whatever occupancy there would be, I don't know that there would be any increased occupancy. It's just really, if it is in fact true that people are going in anyway, then it's a way of legitimizing something that is unenforceable. So that's my thoughts. I feel that it should go to Planning Commission and have a public hearing and let the residents, give their input and refine some of these things that we're talking about. For example, the parking and no rooftop.
So, Councilmember Meister, are you suggesting that we approve this with the understanding that it goes to the Planning Commission?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or it goes through the process. I guess it would go through would it go through long-range planning first? No, just go to yes. But that there should be extensive outreach to the public to make sure that they are aware that these hearings are happening.
I made that motion.
And I beat out Chelsea.
Thank you. That passes 3-2. All right, we are going to move right along to E3. update on the city's 2024 Paris Olympics delegation and planning for the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games. Do we have any commenters from the public on this? Nope, great.
Just a citizen position.
Do you just want to read those now?
Yeah. So we have 2 citizen position slips in support of the recommended item from Stephanie Harker and Kathy Blavis.
I didn't agree with that, so I voted no. I knew it was going to happen. Hello. Hello. All right, are we ready? Wonderful. Please introduce yourselves and feel free to give us a report.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm looking for my 2 seconds, please. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Christine Seyfried. I'm the assistant to the city manager. Joining me this evening are Aaron Taylor, media and marketing manager, Cleo Smith, event services manager, Laura Byrie, director of economic development, and Rebecca Eamon, who's also listed on the staff report, is not able to be with us tonight. David Wilson, of course, our city manager, is on the dais with you. Tonight, we will be providing a brief overview of item E3 with an update on the city's 2024 Paris Olympics delegation, as well as updates on the city staff working group and the city's 2028 art project. As background, in March of this year, the City Council directed the city manager to organize a delegation to travel to Paris, France during the 24 Summer Olympic and Paralympic Games to identify opportunities and best practices related to preparing for the 28 Los Angeles Games. The West Hollywood delegation comprised 6 individuals, including the mayor, city manager, and the 4 of us at this table. While there, we worked with representatives from Visit West Hollywood who traveled as their own delegation. The city delegation traveled to Paris from August 5th to 12th, 2024, and the total cost of the trip was approximately $34,400, or about $5,700 per person. The full staff report is about 20 pages long. I'm going to discuss a few of the key findings and opportunities arising from our activities. The city delegation observed the Pride House activities in preparation for and throughout the trip. We also participated in a passing the torch ceremony on Friday, August 9th, with Pride House representatives, former Olympic athletes, and dignitaries from Paris, from LA County, and Out Athlete Fund, among many others. We noted that the activation of one primary location was a critical factor in fostering meaningful engagement with visitors, observing that a mix of indoor and outdoor visitor amenities to support a variety of flexible and engaging programming was very important. Offering entrance free of charge is also important as it fosters inclusion, while offering food and beverage for sale can enable visitors to extend their stay and enjoy their time and enjoy the experience for longer periods. We may also want to consider hosting Pride House at a local venue that has turnkey built-in infrastructure, supplies, and staffing. Some of these kinds of opportunities include existing restaurants, hotels, or other hospitality venues, including city facilities. We went to a number of City of Paris learning sessions where members of the city delegation attended sessions hosted by the City of Paris on a wide range of topics related to planning for the Olympic and Paralympic Games. Staff from the City of Paris talked about the city's legacy for the 24 Olympic and Paralympic Games and how the benefits were not just about the visitor experience during the summer, but also focused on achieving larger, broader, and significantly longer-term goals for the City of Paris. The City of Paris also organized and funded approximately 20 fan zones during the Olympic Games, where local residents as well as visitors were able to watch the games for free within their own neighborhoods at local plazas and parks. Each fan zone included a dedicated place to watch the games live on large screen TVs, free activities and games to play with friends and family, local food and beverage offerings for purchase, and a place to take Olympic-inspired photos for social media. Various seating options were provided. Consistent branding and signage across all fan zones included flags, banners, and decals, which were implemented on-site, and the City of Paris advertised widely to let the broader community know about the free-for-all fan zones, so that people who were not able or willing or interested in going to an actual sporting event could participate in the Olympics throughout the Olympic and Paralympic Games. The city delegation visited numerous fan zones, and we found them to be joyful community activations and also a significant opportunity for West Hollywood to consider exploring, both on a municipal level while also potentially working with our local business community to consider creating similar style zones within their physical business locations. At the foundation of the Paris Olympics visitor experience was an excellent digital experience supported by a trio of apps and the Olympics.com website. Included within these applications were a focus on the ease of navigation of the public transportation system and significant wayfinding. The city intends to use these findings to advance critical navigation tools, expand access to event schedules on social media and the city's website, and provide easy access to links and regional information related to the games. The city delegation also met with representation from the Paris Visitors Board, which was very helpful in understanding the types of consumers who attended the Olympics, as well as the resident business and visitor experience. The primary visitation for the Paris Games included a heavy drive-in market with fewer overnight stays than expected for the hotels and the home share and short-term rental properties. The visitor profile tended to be a more price-sensitive consumer than might otherwise have been expected, and many stayed with friends and family. Ticketed attendees were not necessarily traveling across Paris to various sporting venues, but would instead often pick a specific sport or venue and stay around that destination. The city will work closely with Visit West Hollywood and with the Paris Visitors Bureau to address learnings from this, from the board. Moving on to the West Hollywood Art Project, our staff report also provides an update on the city's development of a West Hollywood Art Project during the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games. The city is working with a consulting firm to establish a plan which includes a purpose, goals, and vision for the art project, and is hosting a series of community engagement sessions right now that will take place from November of 2024 through February of 2025. And a future staff report will be forthcoming on that. We also have a recommendation in the staff report related to Pride House Los Angeles West Hollywood. Pride House International has designated the Out Athlete Fund, which is a nonprofit organization based in California, as the official partner organization to plan and deliver Pride House at the 2028 Los Angeles Games. Out Athlete Fund has provided the City of West Hollywood with a proposal to host Pride House in the city during the 28 Games. The item before you tonight includes approval of a letter of commitment to provide financial and location support in the city for Pride House. It also directs the city manager to negotiate an agreement with Out Athlete Fund for Pride House LA West Hollywood and to return to council for approval. As summarized above and in conclusion, the city is moving actively forward with preparations to leverage the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games to reach broader city goals. The city delegation was able to establish key contacts with the City of Los Angeles, LA 28, LA County, and many others who will be leading planning and preparation efforts across the region. We will use the key learnings and opportunities as well as the direction and recommendations from this council to implement strategies and actions that that reduce negative impacts and enhance positive experiences of the games for our residents, local businesses, city operations, and the day-to-day life in our community. Thank you, and we'd be happy to take your questions.
Wonderful. Do you have any questions, Councilmember Meister? Go ahead.
Thank you for the report. So how much money did the city of Paris contribute to the Pride House in Paris? Do we know that?
We have a listing on page 4 of the staff report. The total subsidy was 55,000 euros. The conversion rate is about $1.07 to euros, so that's approximately $60,000.
Okay. And is there a reason that this is being called Pride House LA West Hollywood? Is the city of LA going to donate money, contribute money to the Pride House?
That would be a question for the Pride House.
Okay, because I think that's
David
something you have.
And I think part of it is the LA Olympics, and so I think it associates it with the Olympic Games itself, and not the city of LA. I think the LA is more LA County and the LA region because the Olympics are being hosted throughout LA. I will let the Out Athlete Fund representatives speak more to that. It looks like they have it in the public comments. But I think it's important that we include West Hollywood as well. And so the idea was that it's a connection of Pride House with the LA Olympics and West Hollywood.
Yeah, no, I didn't have a problem with the West Hollywood part. And also, you know, we worked very hard to get West Hollywood Pride instead of LA Pride. So that's was one of my reasons for asking that question. And then I would say that, ask you, what do you see as the major challenges for West Hollywood specifically?
That's a great question. I think the largest challenge, and I'll let my colleagues join in, to add to this, is that we do not have a sporting venue, and so the city will have to work hard to establish West Hollywood as a destination during the games for visitors to come here, even if they are coming to the region for an Olympic event. I think that's our primary kind of largest challenge. But there may be other things that staff or the city manager would like to add.
I would just relate it to that. I think transportation in the region is going to be the biggest issue, and we're continuing to work with the city of LA and Metro, because I think that's really the important part, is how do people traverse around all of the various locations, whether it's UCLA and some of the Athletes Village and downtown LA and Inglewood. And so we are making sure the city of West Hollywood is part of that conversation when it comes to transportation related to the Olympics.
Yeah, so I would then ask, is the city of West Hollywood being included in the conversations that LA 28 are having? Because West Hollywood needs to be in that room. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's, absolutely, if we're going to do this here, that has to happen. And one of the other issues that I would ask about is, have you thought about is, we have empty storefronts, we have vacant properties, we have undeveloped developments with entitlements. These are things that we're going to want to make sure are not the face of West Hollywood, right? So we have to have answers to how we're going to deal with that.
We do have a public commenter.
Sorry, emergency preparedness.
If you're getting into comments, I just wanted to.
I'll make my comments after this.
Okay, sounds good. Do anybody else have questions for staff? No. Okay, let's go to Michael Ferreira, who's a public commenter, and please come on up.
Good evening. It's such an honor to be here tonight representing Out Athlete Fund and Pride House. I'm here with my colleagues, Sid Ziegler and Alex Sajarto, the founders. I just wanted to share with you, I've lived in this area for over 30 years and have worked in the nonprofit field here in support of our community for more than 25 years. I came out in West Hollywood, the first place I had ever been that made me feel safe, included, and even celebrated. This city has done that for so many people. My nonprofit work has always been done with so much gratitude for this community and that experience. My colleagues and I now have the opportunity to bring something so special to West Hollywood in 2028 during the Los Angeles Olympics, and to put us on the international stage and at the vanguard of an international movement to establish true inclusion, equity, and celebration in sport for out athletes and their fans. We will do for them on the international stage what this city has done so well for 40 years. And we will create a 17-day unprecedented experience of the Olympics right here in our city, so our residents and our guests from around the world will have the opportunity to experience the Olympics in a very special way right here in West Hollywood, a way that makes everyone feel included and celebrated no matter their identity. I'd like to thank Mayor Erickson and City Manager David Wilson and your staff for coming to Paris and joining with us in the handover ceremony, which was so special, and engaging in the learning that obviously you got there to help support us in this effort and make sure that Pride House here in West Hollywood is the amazing thing we envision and want it to be.
Thank you so much.
Happy to answer any questions that you may have too.
There was a question for, I believe, if that's appropriate, didn't you ask it about the LA WeHo name extravaganza, the name fight that we
Yeah.
always have with
You
our
know-
sister
Absolutely.
on north, south, east, and west?
Yeah.
And
it-
Councilmember Meister, you know that I've been part of that when
Yes.
I was working for LA Pride, and we called it LA Pride in West Hollywood. So it was with that in mind that we just started using Pride House LA West Hollywood. At this point, you know, when you're working with LA 28, it's really hard to know right now what officially you can say. I mean, I think it would be nice to call it Pride House LA 28 in West Hollywood or something to do with that, but we're here to work with you and to call it whatever best represents the city. So that name is not etched in stone.
Great. I think that was the only question for them, right? Great. All right. Thank you very much,
All right,
Michael.
thank
You're
you.
off the hot seat. We're going to go back now, and now we can go back to comments. Would you like to finish your comments at all, or did you have any more?
I just, again, you know, my big concern is, you know, we want the face of West Hollywood, we want to show our best face, right? So, you know, to have empty storefronts and vacant properties and undeveloped developments with entitlements, you know, these are things that we don't want to see, that we don't want people to see West Hollywood, you know, as that. And, you know, also emergency preparedness and public safety are going to be two major things. I mean, that's something that LA 28 in general has really got to think about, because you're going to have all these people in, you know, all over the county, and, you know, if they're not prepared for any kind of emergency, it's going to be a big problem, and I don't want to see that happen here. And especially with, you know, with the new president that we'll be having. You know, it's just, we have to think about public safety in a big way, right? Especially in the city of West Hollywood. And then just lastly, I'll just say that, you know, the mayor and I are going to be bringing back a transit-related item in the near future. So thank you for bringing up that transportation is going to be a major issue, because that's what we think.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Councilmember Shine, do you have any comments?
Yes, thank you for all those who went to Paris to gain information, and for staff for bringing this back. Councilmember Meister, your concern around safety, especially with the current person in office, is
not in office. Not yet.
Soon to be in office.
We don't need to start any sooner.
Yeah, it's valid, and I want to say that I'm proud that we have a lot of experience in public safety with the many, many people that come to our city now during Pride and Halloween, and we've done really, really well, and we can always make sure that we're continuing to be conscious and mindful, and yes, we do need to have our developments developed for sure, and people come to West Hollywood still and have a fantastic time, just even in Halloween, and absolutely love our city. I want to get an update actually from our city manager about an item that is related to the Olympics and tourism, and I'm so happy that Pride House has come to the forefront, but it's an item the mayor and I passed, which was a sports commission. Let's not use the word commission, because it's actually not a commission, but a sports group that would have a large focus of it be having us on the Olympics advisory team with Visit West Hollywood. So that answers Councilmember Meister as a reminder. So we have a seat at the table. And
yeah, and I know there was some of the staff working on that, so I'm going to see if we can get an update from either Laura Byrie or Helen Collins. I think you're referring to the item for sports tourism in
yeah.
general.
Yeah.
and not
Yes.
just an advisory board. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's been some conversations
The
on that.
non-Brown Act body that was supposed to come together with experts so that we're positioned in all levels for sports tourism and specifically with knowing the 2028 Olympics is coming.
Certainly. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Laura Byrie, Director of Economic Development for the city. With regard to the sports tourism item, we bifurcated the item into a couple different ways. One of which was to make sure that we do have direct connections to LA Tourism and the LA Sports and Entertainment Commission, and that Visit West Hollywood is keyed into them and making sure that we have a seat at the table there and that we're getting invited to all the important meetings related to sports tourism. Not only related to the Olympics, as Councilmember Meister alluded to, we need to prepare now. So we also have the World Cup coming up in 2026. Right. In 2027, we're getting another Super Bowl because the first time around was so successful, not only for West Hollywood, but the entire region, that the NFL decided they wanted to come back here sooner than originally planned. And then, of course, in 2028, we have the Olympics. One of the things that we learned when we went to Paris is that they recommended to the public safety professionals that were joining us from the County of LA and the City of LA Fire Department and police departments was that we test out things prior to the Olympics. So, for example, take a Dodger Stadium Dodger night and test out the protocols that you are going to have when the Olympics comes here so that we're prepared in advance for that. Those types of conversations happened not only while we were in Paris, but are continuing to happen with our tourism partners with Visit West Hollywood. The secondary part of your item and directive initiative had to do with taking a look at all of our different facilities that we have and finding out if there are sports tourism opportunities. We fully acknowledge we're not going to be hosting one of the Olympic events here, but that doesn't mean we can't host their trainings, their practices, or maybe a meetup as folks are getting prepared, or possibly an exhibition of, for instance, the artistic swimmers, which used to be called synchronized swimming for those that are old enough to remember that term. So those are the kinds of things that we bifurcated it, and we have, as what City Manager Wilson was alluded to, our Acting Director of Public Works, Helen Collins, and her team are looking at a consultant that are going to be assessing that and whether or not we have the capacity to host those types of things. Oftentimes, you'll need additional bleachers, stands, because of course, not only do you want the athletes here, but let's be real, we want the fans. And we want the folks that are going to be spending the additional money and dollars at our restaurants, bars, nightclubs, hotels, staying overnight, making it a multi-night stay so that we get those heads in beds. And so that item is still top of mind for both economic development as well as public works. Helen, feel free to jump in if I missed anything. Okay, there we have it. Thank you. I heard it in the back. It was a no.
Okay. Councilmember Heilman.
Thank you. Thank you to the public speakers, and thank you to the staff and everyone who went to Paris. As I read the item, one of the key things seems to be to increase our involvement with LA 28 and make sure that we are very closely connected with them and that we are coordinating with them as we move forward. Secondly, you know, one of the things that has come out of the Olympics in other communities is an invitation to have gay games in Southern California or Los Angeles. So that might be something that we're looking at for 2030 or some point beyond that. So I hope that our staff will be looking at that as well. And I'm sure that the Athlete Fund people are connected. A third point is, you know, we've been talking about using the park for Pride House. Have we considered the PDC as a possible venue, because they have done some significant events there, and that would also allow the park to be used for some of these exhibitions that you're thinking about. So that was just something I hope that we can throw into the mix as we think about that. And then Cleo, I know you're very familiar with Virginia from EGAF, who's used to putting on those big type of events and creating a structure in the park. So I think it might be useful to get her input and to actually coordinate with her and the Pride House folks about what their plans are and draw on her expertise if she's willing to share it. The other thought I had was, I know that usually when these events happen, there's some kind of permanent recognition in the community, some kind of either statute or structure or something. We don't really have a lot of space for a permanent structure, but maybe even a reusable meeting venue that if we're putting the time and effort and the expense into creating a venue for people to come to Pride House, maybe it is something that can be reused in the future for other events. And then this is, maybe just thinking off the top of my head in a crazy way, what will actually bring people here if we're not an actual sporting venue? We typically have Pride during the summer. We usually have it at the beginning of June. Is there some thought of moving it for that summer so that we're inviting everyone who's here to participate in Pride in West Hollywood during the same time that the Olympics is going on? That might just not be feasible, but I think that might be something worth considering. And then finally, you mentioned that we really aren't going to be a venue, but they have been using West Hollywood or going through West Hollywood for the marathon. So is that something that they're still looking at? Do they have the route set for that? Because I looked at what Paris did, and the Marathon for All seemed like it was well received by Parisians.
Don't even get us started on that marathon.
Did
that
you
marathon
run it?
Ruined my life. It was lovely.
You didn't run it, though. That was
did
the
not
problem.
run it. However, I experienced the marathon, and I'm so sorry for interrupting you, but I will just say I have to give great kudos to LA Marathon and the organizers of that, who put on a much better outreach campaign and knowledge campaign, because let me tell you, it was
difficult to get around.
That is the understatement of the century. But continue. I'm so sorry, Councilman.
No, if the route for the marathon is going to be the usual route and it's going to go through West Hollywood, then that gives us an additional opportunity. And we should be doing that already with the marathon already coming through West Hollywood. That might be our training run and how to get people to West Hollywood rather than at the end or at the beginning. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Byers.
This is very exciting. Thank you all for your work on this. I wanted to just flag, I know with FIFA coming, we just had this conversation this weekend with the WeHo Soccer Club. They're looking forward to this. I know West Hollywood has many sports-aligned social clubs, and just encouraging coordination with them or collaboration. They're great groups to activate a base, especially for some of these fan bases, may have ideas of their own of how they can bring community together, and are certainly good folks to test run some of these models as we're leading up to this. The second thing I wanted to say is I love this fan base idea, or this fan base idea. Looking to the Sunset Strip, that doesn't get as much love as sometimes we think about in the Rainbow District and the park specifically, but it feels like some of those carve-out areas on the Sunset Strip are really natural venues where a screen could go up, people could gather, watch sports for the day, and we could maybe have some partnership along the strip too with some of the businesses or the billboard companies there as well to think creatively about how to activate those digital spaces. And then the last thing, I just, the breakdancing of it all in the last Olympics, and sort of this unique athletics. When I think about our unique forms of competition, ballroom comes to mind, so specifically for the queer community. And, if we're thinking outside of the box and ways to lure more folks to the community, let's celebrate one of our most fabulous forms of competition that may not make it to the Olympic stage yet, but here's hoping. And, if we can find partners to showcase something like that, it could be a very fun West Hollywood flair. There, put my outside of the box ideas out there too. That's all for me. Thank you all. This is so exciting.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to move this item, and I'm going to see if there we go, Councilmember Shine. I want to thank staff for all their hard work. I want to thank Pride House soon to be named, whatever it will be named, for all the work that they've done in supporting this. When I traveled to Paris with the city staff, I will say Pride, the Olympics was lovely. I mean, you know, to see the city decked out in every way, shape, and form, and the city of Paris did such a robust public campaign outreach with classes, and every business was ready to go, and the public transportation, more on that in a second, Councilmember Meister, was really well thought out, and I biked everywhere. I think I got in a car once, and it was the worst decision I ever made. And that's saying something. But I will say that Pride House was just such a wonderful standout event. It was along the Seine. It was programmed regularly. People were there at night. I think during one of the World Cup soccer matches, it was packed, you know, and there was beautiful. It was just truly, I think, well thought out. I don't know how we're going to match a boat along the Seine, as we've been saying multiple times, but we will figure it out. I think all options are on the table for this and how we do it. I will say 2028 is like tomorrow in many ways. LA is woefully underprepared for the Olympics, and that's probably the understatement of the century. I wish them well. I would rather be us in this case, truly, Councilmember Meister, based on the issues that we have compared to what other cities have, but I would like to have faith that they will figure it out. I will say that everyone's gonna come to West Hollywood. It's just what's gonna happen. The Olympic Village is in UCLA. I mean, a lot of events aren't really even happening in Los Angeles. I mean, there's 16 events, I think, happening in Long Beach. Santa Monica's hosting several. I mean, it's really Los Angeles as an idea that's hosting the Olympics, right? So it's going to be all over, right? But everyone's going to be coming here. And I will say the fan zone area was something I was really excited about. And I was really happy to hear that Supervisor Horvath is looking to install fan zones. Because the best part about Paris is that you didn't really have to go to the games to experience it. You could have areas to go watch everything. So not everyone gets cable and all that stuff, so it's an accessibility issue, and there was community programming. So I'm really excited to see as this moves forward and continues to go, and I'm in complete support of this. I want to thank the entire team at Pride House for the hard work, and I know they're really excited to bring this to LA, and the handoff was really important, and I will say there is something very significant about being here in 2028 and surviving 4 years when that happens where we are, but seeing what LGBTQ sports will be like and having that space. And I think it's really special. So I just want to say thank you, and we're going to vote. And that will pass 5-0. Thank you very much. And it is 8:06. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back at 8:16, and we're going to get to our last two items, which have been combined. I think those are the last two. All right, welcome back, everybody. We are going to move right along to items for new business. So we are taking F1 and F2 as the same item in terms of public comment. And then we will hear a staff report on the items from City Attorney Langer. Great, so this is qualifications of an initiative measure proposing to reenact the city's existing vacation rental regulations and reenact the recently expired home sharing regulations and to prevent their future amendment without subsequent voter approval, and qualifications of an initiative measure proposing to reenact the city's existing hotel worker protection and the minimum wage ordinances to prevent their future amendment without subsequent voter approval. City Attorney Langer.
Thank you very much. Yes, I will give one staff report to explain the initiative process, but then I can explain each initiative ordinance separately. You'll take public comment together, and we'll need two separate actions on the two different ordinances, just to be clear. So back in July of 2024, the city clerk's office received 2 notices of intent to circulate initiative petitions from initiative proponents. The initiative process is the process to allow the electorate to place laws on the ballot for voter approval. We see it a lot at the state level, as we saw this past November, but it's also available at the local level as well. So both measures that are before you tonight would reenact existing rules that the city already has in their municipal code, and I'll get to the specifics of that in a moment. So after the proponents filed a notice of intent to circulate their petitions, I was obligated under the Elections Code to provide a ballot title and summary to explain what those 2 initiatives would do. It is just a summary. It includes no analysis, just summary, and return that back to the proponents. They then have 180 days to gather signatures for these initiatives, which would have gone through February 10th, 2025. However, the proponents submitted the required signatures earlier this fall. So in order for an initiative petition to qualify, it must be signed by not less than 10% of the registered voters of the city. And so those signatures were submitted to the city clerk. There are a little over 26,000 registered voters in the city, so they needed a little over 2,600 signatures. On September 26th, the proponents filed their petition with the city. The city clerk then submits those to the county for the county to verify the signatures. And on November 7th, the city received notification from Los Angeles County registered recorder that the signature verification process was complete. And on November 8th, the city clerk's office notified the proponents that the petition had sufficient signatures to qualify the measures on the ballot. And so that means that the city council has to consider a couple options at its next city council meeting. So tonight before you, there are 2 initiative ordinances, which I'll talk about in a second, and the city council will have 4 options of what to do with those ordinances. One is you can submit the measures to the voters at the city's next general municipal election, which would be scheduled for Tuesday, November 3rd, 2026, or submit the measure to the voters at a special municipal election to be scheduled on a Tuesday between 88 and 103 days following the council's order of the special election. If the council were to select this option, a special election would need to be held on Tuesday, March 17th, 2025. The costs of holding both a general election or a special election are in the fiscal impacts section of your staff report. The third option is to adopt the measure as an ordinance without any alteration, either at this meeting or within 10 days thereafter. In order to adopt these ordinances without any alteration, it requires a majority vote of the city council. And then the fourth option is the city council could order staff to prepare a report on the measure's fiscal impact, effect on the general plan, land use and housing, impact on infrastructure, and other related impacts on city facilities and services. If the council were to order a report, it must be presented to the city council no later than 30 days after the city clerk certifies the petition as sufficient, which is happening this evening. So if a report was ordered, it would have to come back within 30 days. After the report is presented, then the council would have one of the three options specified above. So as I mentioned, the two ordinances attempt to reenact certain provisions of the municipal code on two different topics in order to prevent future amendments without subsequent voter approval. Because once an ordinance is adopted by initiative either by the voters or the city council, it cannot be amended without voter approval, except as otherwise specified in the ordinance. So the two topics that are before the council tonight are an initiative measure proposing to reenact the city's existing vacation rental regulations and to reenact the recently expired home sharing regulations. And let me know if you'd like a full summary of what is in the ordinances. And then the second ordinance that is before you is an initiative measure proposing to reenact the city's existing hotel worker protections and minimum wage ordinances to prevent their future amendment without subsequent voter approval. And there's an attachment A in the back of both staff reports that has the summary I prepared earlier in the summer that explains which parts of the code would be covered by this initiative and which parts of the code require voter approval to change. And all of them do say that they could be amended by the city council to further enhance these rights that are provided under the ordinances, but they couldn't be eliminated or lessened without voter approval. So I'm available for any questions. I know the city clerk is also here for any procedural questions, and we also have Laura Byrie and Danny Rivas, who are very familiar with the substantive of these existing codes, if you have any questions about the ordinances.
Wonderful. Do my colleagues have any questions, or should we go to public comment? Councilmember Hyman.
I just had one question. We just talked about the Olympics and the home sharing ordinance and the sort of prohibition on home sharing. I believe we at one point had a discussion about, do we want to create an exemption during the Olympics for people who are leaving and want to rent out their home as a way to benefit residents? As I understand this, if we enact this, there's no way that we could do that. That would require us to go back to the voters, correct?
Let me look at the language of the home sharing piece of that before I answer that. It's an interesting question, so let me take a look while you take public comment.
Yeah, we can get public comment.
Great.
Thanks.
Do you have any questions? Sounds good. All right, we're going to go right on to public comment. We're going to start with our first public commenter, Maura or Neil, to be followed by Noah.
Good evening, council members, mayor and vice mayor. My name is Maura O'Neill. I'm an organizer for Better Neighbors LA, a coalition of hosts, tenants, housing activists, and community members focused on preserving long-term housing by curbing illegal short-term rental activity in Southern California. I'm here to speak in support of item F1, the initiative to reenact the city's vacation rental and home sharing regulations. The current regulations around short-term rentals in West Hollywood are a model for surrounding communities like Los Angeles, which is dealing with the complications of having a less strongly enforced ordinance. The private right of action in particular, which empowers affected neighbors to sue illegal short-term rentals near them, has inspired the motion for LA City Council members to incorporate a similar element in the Los Angeles home sharing ordinance in order to remove some of the burden of enforcement from the city itself. Additionally, the minimum one-year lease provision is being considered in nearby Beverly Hills as a model for dealing with the spread of STRs. The fact that other cities look to West Hollywood as a model for successful STR enforcement demonstrates that the content of this ordinance can make a real difference in the fight to protect communities and lower the cost of housing. WeHo has the opportunity to preserve this ordinance, giving the city the ability to protect its communities from displacement and ensure that housing serves WeHo residents. We ask you to protect these regulations by adopting this measure as an ordinance without alteration. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Maura. Noah, to be followed by Danielle Wilson.
All righty.
Good evening, Mayor Erickson, Vice Mayor Byers, council members. My name is Noah Suarez-Sykes, and I'm an organizer for the aforementioned Better Neighbors LA. I'm here to speak in support of item F1, the initiative to reenact the city's vacation rental and home sharing regulations. I don't think I need to tell you all that California, and Southern California specifically, is in the throes of an incredibly severe housing crisis. It's not enough to just build more housing, we have to make better use of units that we already have. We know that in the city of Los Angeles, rents increased an average of $810 a year due to the economic effects of STR, according to a study by David Walksmith of McGill University. The same study also found that these effects were responsible for 5,000 additional people experiencing homelessness, which is 11% of the roughly 45,000 people experiencing homelessness in LA. These economic effects were likely also at play in West Hollywood before the enactment of the 2018 regulation. West Hollywood has, with these regulations, done the right thing to ensure that WeHo housing benefits WeHo residents, not corporate entities or housing speculators. The existing regulations, as they stand, have caused a 32% drop in the number of listings from 2017 to 2024, allowing more units to return to the market and more housing to serve the needs of WeHo communities. This still leaves a little over 600 units that the city will need to monitor for compliance, and the regulations this measure would enshrine give the city the necessary tools to do so. Thus, we ask you to protect these regulations by adopting this measure as an ordinance without alteration, so that West Hollywood can remain a livable place for all in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. And Noah, if I may say, if you pursue game show networking at any time in your life, I wish you much luck.
They also told me to do the pharmaceutical reads when you do the
There you go. That's great. And just to be clear, we're taking both items, so these public commenters, if you have public comment on both items, now's the time to do it, because you're not going to be able to do it again. Just wanted to be very clear. Wonderful. Danielle Wilson, to be followed by David Stuckey.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. My name is Danielle Wilson. I'm speaking on behalf of Unite Here Local 11, and I'm a renter here in West Hollywood. I am so proud of the coalition we've built to bring this item before you. We have workers, we have renters, we have people from the Trans-Latina Coalition, we have the Stonewall Democrats, we have our neighbors, our friends who signed our petitions, who were so moved that they just came and showed up at this meeting for the very first time. We have Ukrainian activists who flew out here from Chicago to speak to our Russian-speaking community. And together, we have made history. We strengthen our short-term rental ban to make sure that our precious housing stock is used to open our doors to new community members to be part of West Hollywood. We protected our most vulnerable hotel workers when the pandemic left 95% of them without jobs. We passed the highest minimum wage in the country so that the people who cook food, serve drinks, and bag groceries in West Hollywood could live a little bit more freely. So many people who are often made to feel invisible in rooms like this across the country, and you made them feel seen. But there were those special interests who wanted to roll back all the progress that we made and fought so hard for here in West Hollywood. So we took it to the voters. And I'm here standing proudly to announce that the voters of West Hollywood want to keep WeHo progressive. So I'm here to urge you to keep your foot on the gas, stand with us, we're standing with you. Let's pass this without any delay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Danielle. David Stuckey, to be followed by Justin Winnick.
Good evening, City Council. My name is David Stuckey, and I live and work in West Hollywood. I'm a front desk agent at a hotel on Sunset Boulevard. I work 2 full-time jobs, and I'm just able to make ends meet. And this is even after our pay at the hotel went up due to my brothers and sisters fighting for a hard-won contract this last summer. I'm one of the lucky ones. I know plenty of people my age who are not so lucky. The Hotel Worker Protection Act is also vital because we have workers who are alone in these spaces, not supervised, nobody within earshot. And unfortunately, when we open our doors in hospitality, sometimes we get some people that are not savory, and these workers need protection. These panic buttons that were provided via this Protection Act, help is just one button push away. And I'm the one that answers some of those calls on a daily basis. Thankfully, most of them are accidents. but they're there if they need them. They can do their jobs with the peace of mind that somebody is watching their back while they are making those rooms ready to make other people feel at home while they're away from theirs. I don't need to even comment about the short-term rentals. The housing crisis in the city is wild. Please, please, please adopt this measure without alteration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. Justin Winnick to be followed by Devin Adante.
Good evening, council members, Vice Mayor Byers and Mayor Erickson. My name is Justin Winnick, and I am a renter here in West Hollywood. I strongly urge you to adopt this measure without alteration. As one of the canvassers who spoke to voters about these critical workers and renter protections, I chose to join that effort because everyone deserves the dignity of earning a living wage and access to affordable housing. The minimum wage and hotel worker protection laws are essential steps towards addressing the vast inequality we see today, especially in an industry where vulnerable workers often have the least power to advocate for themselves. I am pleased to report that I had countless conversations with WeHo residents who strongly supported the council raising the minimum wage and implementing the worker protection measures. And with the second Trump administration on the horizon, it is essential to establish these protections at the local level. Corporations and powerful special interest groups will persist in their efforts to undermine the working class, and the next administration will likely provide cover for these interests to intensify their efforts. The uncertainties we face, particularly for those most vulnerable members of our society, make these protections more crucial than ever. As a resident of West Hollywood, I am so proud to have been part of this effort and to live in a progressive city that continues to be on the front lines of protecting the most vulnerable. By adopting this measure, the council will send a clear message here tonight that West Hollywood stands firmly on the side of working people. Please adopt this measure tonight without alteration. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Devin Adante to be followed by MD Reza Islam.
Good evening, Mayor Erickson and Council. My name is Devin Adante, and I'm speaking on behalf of Stonewall Democratic Club. I'm joined today by Stonewall Vice President of Operations, Michael Kalorj, and at-large member, June Panushkin. We were proud to stand with Unite Here Local 11 when the City Council first passed the groundbreaking hotel worker protection law and the highest minimum wage in the country. We were dismayed when we heard that the companies and Chamber of Commerce wanted to roll back these critical protections for workers. Tonight, we urge you to make history and adopt this measure without alteration. West Hollywood is a beacon of progress, and ensuring that these protections can't simply be undone by a hostile council is another example of West Hollywood leading the way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Devin. MD Reza Islam to be followed by James Principale.
Good evening, honorable judges, members, and I'm Reza. I'm speaking on behalf of the LGBTQ community, and also I have been active member in Trans Wellness Center and also Trans Latina Coalition and also Skid Row Project, where we help clients to get housing. Tonight, I urge to adopt this measure without alteration. West Hollywood is a very special place to us, as this is a mecca for all the LGBTQ community where we can be ourselves without any judgment and celebrate the fact that we are unique. And because I do understand earlier today we had one of our speakers who was furious and had a lot of emotions. So it's constantly a battle for all of us. The time we wake up in the morning, being part of the mockery, being part of being a victim. So it's challenging. So just for you all to be a little sympathetic towards us. I know, we often do not know how to handle the emotions, but here we are celebrating the fact, and we have worked really hard for both of these amazing candidates. Chan and Danny, we have worked for you all, and I speak multiple languages from Southeast Asia, and I represent our community from those places too, from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Nepal. And we are here with you all, and we all want to grow together in this voyage. The people who work here make the city accessible to people in my community and so many others. So we also know the housing in LA is massively expensive. We can't afford. On the fact that we are part of the community, we don't even have liable jobs, to go to. So how are we gonna pay the rent? We do have housing in both of these organizations, but we want more housing, and thank you, John and Danny, for this wonderful opportunity for us, and we wish to see you all
so much.
soon. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. James Principale, to be followed by June Panushkin.
Hello, my name is James Principale, and I'm a renter here in West Hollywood, living over on Norton Avenue. I'm here to speak to item F2 tonight, and I urge you to adopt this measure without alteration. I was one of the thousands of residents who signed this petition because I want to live in a community that pays workers what they're worth and won't allow their employers to nickel and dime them. As such, when I was called and asked if I would volunteer, I jumped at the chance to drive down Santa Monica Boulevard to my first ever city council meeting so I could add my voice to support this measure. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you so much, and welcome to your first city council meeting. June Panushkin to be followed by nobody else, correct? Wonderful, thank you.
Good evening, council members, Mayor Erickson and Vice Mayor Byers. I come to you as a brand new resident and renter of the city of West Hollywood. I'm very excited to be here. And I'm also coming to you as an employee of the city of West Hollywood, as somebody who lived, worked, played, and spent a lot of my money in the city of West Hollywood. And I want to give you a case study of the caliber of businesses that operate in this city. I worked at Sun Life Organics, which many of you may know is on the Sunset Strip, with a highly celebrity clientele, charging for smoothies and acai bowls that ranged all the way up from $15 to $45. The celebrity caliber, you may be asking, is of Shawn Mendes, Kris Jenner, and the Long Island medium herself, Teresa Caputo, coming to purchase luxurious items, luxurious foods, luxurious superfoods that satisfy their cravings. And in that, I was working with many other 20, 21-year-olds that were all working minimum wage. And it's because of that minimum wage that I earned that I was able to go through my UCLA studies. I was able to graduate this summer with a degree in public affairs, and I was able to avoid living in my car. Having that minimum wage job, working in West Hollywood, commuting all the way far away, an hour and 30 minutes in order to have that job, and then now to be able to live in this city was an immense privilege that this city council was able to afford me living here. Having this ordinance put forward without any amendments, putting forward so that this city council can cement minimum wage in this city, make sure that people like me, stories like myself, are not a case study. They become a statistic that is supportive of the diversity of the city, of the diversity of queer voices, of young people wanting to live, work, play, and spend a hell of a lot of money in the city of West Hollywood. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, June. That concludes public comment. Were there any citizen position slips, Madam City Clerk?
No, we don't have any citizen position slips.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to council member comments and deliberation. Councilmember Shine.
I want to thank the public commenters for your testimony this evening. I am so proud of us as a council that we have really taken on we'll just say Airbnbs, but we know there's other names, and we have steadfastly stood in a progressive way since before I got on council, and through the work we've done, steadfastly stood for our residents against illegal Airbnb use. It's come up many times, and I'm proud that other cities are looking at us as a beacon, as we have always been. So that's with regard to F1. With regard to F2, I am incredibly proud every time that I share with anyone that we have the highest minimum wage in the country. And it is because of the opportunity and the relief of stress that it gives to the workers that aren't and haven't been seen, recognized, and acknowledged. We in the city of West Hollywood have done so in a remarkable way that no other city has. And the result is that a young LGBTQ person could live here finally. Work here, live here, play here. And it is my strong hope that we continue being the beacon and the leader moving forward. And the voters have spoken through thousands of signatures. They have spoken through elections very strongly. And I've also had other workers and folks that have personally shared their experience of how the minimum wage and for the hotel workers and the things that we are doing with the Airbnb workers and residents that are so supportive of what we've done. So I am not supportive, Council Member Heilman, of any changes to the Airbnb item. The thought of giving an exemption to folks during the Olympics with everything we just talked about sounds like a nightmare to our residents that are so in favor of the strict ordinances that we have instituted and the way we have held Airbnb to account, as well as the ways in which we are moving towards the home sharing. So I'm actually not in favor of an exemption. I am absolutely in favor of adopting this ordinance without alteration at this meeting for F1 as well as F2. And that's where I am.
Thank you. And Lauren, City Attorney Langer, would you, I believe you might have an answer regarding that question?
Yeah. The vacation rentals can only the vacation rental part can only be amended if it strengthens the restrictions on use of residential property. And because the operating requirements for home sharing says the licensee named on the home sharing business shall reside in the dwelling during the entire stay, I think that an amendment to allow the owner to not be there would be weakening the ordinance as it so probably wouldn't be permitted once adopted.
Wonderful. All right. Councilmember Meister, do you have comments?
I have questions first.
Sure.
So I guess I just want to first, if Danny can come up and just clarify which part of the ordinance or which part actually expired, because I know that there are some different things that they're all kind of commingling. We have a one-year lease that we require on every, whether it's an apartment or a house being leased or a condo. And so that's something that we passed just recently. My understanding is that we still have the hosted part of this is still valid. Is that right?
That is correct. And good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Danny Rivas, Director of Community Safety for the city. And so what has expired is only relates to the sunset clause that's reflected within the home sharing business license ordinance. Separate to that, you have the zoning ordinance, which details our vacation rental ordinance. And so that still remains in effect and is unaffected by that.
Okay, and how many business licenses have we given out on the home sharing? Just just to see what we're dealing with here?
Sure, and so it's ranged over the years since its incorporation. I would say that it probably idles between 25 to 30 home sharing business licenses.
Okay, so, I mean, it's really not affecting that many properties, as far as I can tell. But, and then to Lauren, if we wanted to make short-term rentals illegal, let's say we all of a sudden thought that short-term rentals, that we could do that without having a problem, say with Airbnb or one of the other vendors. With this, if this goes through, can we make short-term rentals illegal if we wanted to?
I think short-term rentals are already illegal. The only thing that's permitted would be the home sharing.
Well, if we wanted to make home sharing illegal, I guess that's.
Yes, I think that would be consistent because it would, I think the point of this is to keep housing for long-term housing, which has been the council's goal in adopting these ordinances. So things that enhance access to housing and reduce short-term rentals, I think would be in line with the authorization you have.
Okay, because, I mean, that's something that, we may want to look at it in the future because of the housing crisis that we have. And I think also we know that although code compliance has, definitely gotten short-term rentals in line, we still have it still exists. That people are not home sharing, or they're not getting the licenses, or they're doing it in rental apartments. So we still have issues with that regardless. So first, I guess I'll give my comments on this one. First, congratulations, June. Where are you, June? Congratulations on getting your degree. That's great. Look, in general, this is how I feel. I feel like we get elected to be decision makers. And John, you worked very hard to get reelected. Danny worked very hard to get elected. And this just doesn't necessarily feel good because you're taking away the decision-making process from us in a sense. However, because of the item, which we didn't even realize that it had expired. If it was brought back to us today, I would have said we need to extend that provision so that so there is no sunset clause. So I think we see that even though it affects so few people, I mean 30 properties, it's not hurting anyone to have it exist. What I would suggest to all of you is that you need to start lobbying your state legislators to say there should not be short-term rentals allowed in any new development that are given density bonuses, because that is still happening. Not in West Hollywood, but in other cities in California. So if you really want to make an impact, I would suggest that should be something you should look at in terms of your lobbying skills and your ability to organize. So on that note, I would say on that particular item, I don't see the point in not picking the option if the majority of my colleagues go with that option. Preference,
For
I would.
F1?
What's
Are
that?
you on F1?
Yes,
Okay.
F1. My preference would be option 4 because I like to get staff's analysis of what it all means. But I think we piloted this and we saw that, it doesn't really impact very much with only 30 properties. So, or 30 licenses. So,
Hold on, Councilmember Meister. City Attorney Lauren Langer has that. Was
Okay.
waving her finger. So.
Trying to get a word in.
No, she'd wait. When she lifts her finger, I'm going to look at it. So.
I just wanted to say that actually the amendment language doesn't technically cover the home sharing ordinance. It says the vacation rental regulations can be changed down the road without voter approval if they strengthen. But that exception, as I'm reading this, doesn't actually apply to the home sharing. So I want to be clear, because we didn't write this, and so we just have to try and interpret what the intent was. So I can't say for certain that you could go back later and completely outlaw home sharing. I think it's consistent with the purpose of what's trying to be accomplished, but in reading this, that amendment of where the council can and cannot make changes down the road, it actually doesn't say that for home sharing. It just says for vacation rentals.
I mean, if we're going to be approving something, shouldn't we know what we're approving? I mean, I think we should know.
I mean,
for sure.
It says vacation rentals. It doesn't say home sharing. That's what the language says.
So if it doesn't say home sharing, does that mean we could say yes for home sharing, no for home sharing?
I think it means you can't change the home sharing ordinance down the road. This says, the ordinance provides that a city council can amend the vacation rental regulations only to strengthen the restrictions on the use of residential property for vacation rentals set forth herein. That same language is not in the home sharing part.
Okay. All right, well, here we go, approving something that we don't really know what we're approving. Again, I mean, I was against short-term rentals anyway, so and I do think that at the state level, we have to look at this. We have to get our legislators to make some changes. On F2, I don't see where anyone is pulling back on this. I mean, we had council meetings where we discussed this, and we discussed, the wage increases and some other things that were brought forward, and I didn't see where really my colleagues wanted to roll back anything, so I don't see the point again at fighting this. Again, I would love to have option 4, which would give us an analysis, and maybe next time we can think about coming back with that and with staff reports and an analysis if this happens again. I don't see why that would not be possible, except that it's more work for staff. But I think that it's important for us to know what we're voting on and what the implications are. Those are my comments.
Thank you. So just so I can clarify, on F1, you are comfortable with option 3, or you preferred option 4?
On both of them, I would prefer option 4, but I'm open to hearing from my colleagues because I'm not ready to die on this hill.
Sounds good. Well, we don't want you to die, but we're
on either of those hills.
Wonderful. Thank you. Councilmember Heilman. Oh, sorry, you took a drink of water. Should I go to Vice Mayor Byers? I'm happy to go to Vice Mayor Byers, or do you want?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, Vice Mayor Byers.
I wasn't prepared to speak.
Oh, so
I can go.
Okay, there you go, Councilmember Heilman.
All right, thank you. Thank you, and thank you to everyone who spoke tonight. I do share Councilmember Meister's concerns that doing these by initiative takes away the ability of future councils to address the real life concerns that are happening and address the actual impacts of these ordinances on both residents and businesses. With respect to F1, the housing related issue, I'm one of the people who fought very hard to make sure that we had a 1-year lease requirement. I'm the one who fought very hard to make sure we didn't allow Airbnb and other platforms to operate, to require enforcement and vigorous enforcement of the regulations that we have in effect. So I do support a lot of what is being proposed. I disagree with the notion that there were special interests out to get this ordinance, because I haven't, like Councilmember Meister, I didn't hear anyone coming forward trying to repeal our current 1-year lease requirement, our vacation rental, or home sharing ordinances. To Councilmember Shine's point about there were signatures, Well, yes, there were signatures, but people signed petitions with the understanding that this was going to go on the ballot and that they would have an opportunity to consider and vote for it. And I think we all know, and we've been approached by signature gatherers who will say to you, oh, you're not approving this is just to put it on the ballot. So I do think that we have to be careful that just because they met the minimum number of signatures required, that doesn't mean that everyone who signed it necessarily would have voted for it if it had gone to the ballot. Having said all of that, I really don't have any problem with us enacting this as an ordinance, other than the fact that it takes away flexibility. And I do think that there are people who have single-family homes who would put them out for rental during the Olympics. And as I understand from the city attorney, we basically wouldn't be allowed to permit that unless we went back to the voters. And given the impact of the Olympics, I think we should be allowed to do that. But as Councilmember Meister said, that's not a hill I'm prepared to die on. So I have no problem with us if ultimately the council decides to just enact this. With respect to F2, again, I have the same concerns that this is, tying the hands of the council and not allowing flexibility on the council. There are a lot of things in F2 that I would have supported had I been on the council when this was adopted, particularly the minimum wage requirement. But there's also some things in here that I know council put it in at the request of Unite Here, but it seems silly that the ordinance mandates a certain minimum amount or maximum amount of area that can be cleaned in a single day. We don't do that for other businesses. We don't say that bank tellers can only wait on a certain number of bank tellers or bank customers, that waiters can only serve X number of people or have X number of tables. So I think that aspect of it, had I been on the council, I wouldn't have supported it. So again, having said that, it's not a hill I'm prepared to die on. I think most of our hotels were already paying more than this in a wage. And the safety devices, I hope that they're never really necessary for the people working in the community, but I don't think there's any real opposition that I've heard from the hoteliers about those. So having said that, I too would prefer that we get a full report on this and the economic impact, but I suspect my colleagues are not going to support that.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Hammond. Vice Mayor Byers.
Thank you. I'm supportive of both F1 and F2. I'll just say that first. In the point of how much effort had gone out to talk to voters, to collect signatures, to have conversations, and regardless of whether there was a signature in anticipation or hopes that this would come back on a ballot or not, I don't see before us opposition to any extent or degree, or even people saying, we're here tonight to support you putting this on the ballot. I do see and feel amongst that effort, which was tremendous, undertaken to really draw a line in the sand around what has become some of our defining issues and policies as a city. And so I'm very supportive of ensuring that these are maintained. I can appreciate the ideas around flexibility, but I think these are very hard-fought policies that we want to make sure are sustained moving forward. And so just commend you all for the work you did to educate and to engage with so many people throughout this election, to bring new folks in, which was reflected in you all sitting here tonight as a really large coalition. And I just really appreciate you all making the time to come out and be a part of this, and to carry forward such a cohesive and substantial and interconnected set of policies that really help define what West Hollywood's all about. So thank you all.
Thank you so much. I want to thank all the members of the public who came out and spoke tonight, as well as individuals that were not able to come tonight because it's 9 o'clock on a Monday. And I think that's really important to talk about, right? Because a lot of people have lives and they don't have the ability to come to, a council meeting. But I really applaud everyone here today for taking that special time out to really, stand in solidarity with your beliefs and your morals and your values. That says a lot. Also says a lot that no one else is here to oppose this. Because they lost and you won. And that's really, I think when it comes down to, and I'm specifically talking the minimum wage ordinance, that was the goal of this current election. I heard it from voters myself. They were hoping to have individuals elected to overturn $19.08 or whatever it is, which is not a living wage in any way, shape, or form. We lived through a pandemic. They want to take away sick time. We don't need to relitigate the past because I'm concerned about the future. And I think it's really important that we acknowledge that this is what people talk to. I talked to a lot of voters this past couple of months, and I did hear overwhelmingly support for this issue, right? I think all of us up here are completely, pushing for how we can make sure short-term rentals don't hurt our housing stock, and I think that's a universal conversation, and that's a yes, right? We don't want that, right? Because we see how harmful it is. We're not the city of LA where it's different, and we have single-family homes in different areas, but people are utilizing our rent-controlled housing stock and abusing it. Landlords who haven't paid taxes on their buildings since Prop 13, right? And all of that money that's supposed to be going to schools is not going to schools, and here we are, right? That's not saying they don't provide a resource as of housing, but we have to really talk about what that looks like. But specifically with the minimum wage, it is one of the most proudest moments I've ever been able to be up here. The hotel worker minimum wage item, which was done on Zoom several years ago with a previous council, and then the minimum wage ordinance that came about right up here at one of our first, if not our first, in-person council meeting where we were all masked and separated by plastic and everything, right? I think I was sitting where Councilmember Meister is sitting at that point, right? I believe you were mayor at that point, right? Yeah. And I think that this is an issue that, of course, right, we want to support our businesses, but we want to support our workers, right? And because when we talk about what really makes West Hollywood, it's the people that live here in every way, shape, and form, and make it beautiful. And then also on the reverse, this decision does not mean that we don't like our businesses. It doesn't mean anything. It means that we're here to stand for the progressive values that this city was founded on. And that's why I'm supportive of option 3 for both of them. And it's because it's the right thing to do. I mean, it's really that simple. I mean, I do know what I'm getting into, so I don't really understand that comment, and that's okay, and maybe I'm not supposed to, because I see what's been before me, and I see, and when I've talked to residents about when they signed the petitions, they knew what they were signing. Right? People would ask me, should I sign this petition? And I'd be like, well, what do you think about it, right? We'd walk through the process. We talk about what it meant. Some would have concerns, but they overwhelmingly supported the item. And so I think that that's a testament to who we are as a city. And especially in a time where costs go up because of big corporations. Everyone likes to call this election a referendum on the price of eggs. Well, no one's talking about Albertsons, Kroger, or Vons essentially inflating their prices since we did Hero Pay way back in 2021 and never bringing them down, leading to the revenue sharing of a cost of eggs going higher, and then that's on the consumer and not on the billionaires that own these corporations, right? Same thing here. So I think that it's important that we look at what's before us, and I think what's before us is a mandate from the people of the city of West Hollywood, plain and simple. And overwhelmingly, the signatures that were collected are so staunchly exceeding the amount of signatures that were needed to what was validated, and I think that's something that we should take as people who have to hold that. I don't see this as handy. I don't like that word. I don't like seeing this item as preventing future councils from doing something. I see this as a way the council can move forward in a different way towards the future, and that future is progressive. So I believe we have to take this item in two different motions. So I'm going to look to my colleague, Councilmember Shine, on item F1.
Yes, I'd like to move that we adopt this ordinance without alteration this evening for F1. And I also want to add to your beautiful comments that it is moving forward, and our entire world is moving forward also astrologically. I want to say tomorrow, Pluto is leaving Capricorn and going into Aquarius. Aquarius is about power to the people. And moving forward, there are going to be structures that are going to crumble, and the people are going to have more power. So si se puede, and that's my motion for F1.
And I will second that motion.
Excuse me, Council.
Yes.
Part of this is too is that the council needs to receive, file, and accept the certificate of sufficiency of petition signatures as valid in all aspects.
Great.
Yes.
Okay, so it's that as part of the motion, and I'm also going to read the title of this into the record. This is for vacation rentals. It's an ordinance of the City Council of the City of West Hollywood, California, reenacting Chapter 5.66 of Title 5 and Sections 19.36.331, 19.80.120, and 19.90.020 of Title 19 of the West Hollywood Municipal Code to reenact the city's existing vacation rental regulations and reenact the recently expired home sharing regulations, and to prevent their future amendment without subsequent voter approval pursuant to California Elections Code Section 9215A. And with that, there is a motion and a second on the floor.
Thank you.
And I'll just add one thing,
Yes.
that the ordinance goes into effect in 30 days. There is no second reading under this process.
Correct.
Just so everyone's clear.
And are we moving into the age of Aquarius? Is that part of this motion?
Yes, that is the part of this.
That can be a
That's
silent part of the motion. Wonderful. That passes 5-0. And then, Councilmember Shine, would you like to make a motion for item F2?
Yes, I would proudly like to make a motion that we enact this ordinance without delay this evening, and with all of the wording that Melissa said before. Can you repeat that, please, City
Yes.
Clerk? Thank you.
So we are going to receive, file, and accept the certificate of sufficiency of petition signatures as valid in all respects. And we are introducing an ordinance of the City Council of the City of West Hollywood, California, reenacting Chapter 5.127 and Sections 5.130.020, 5.230.030, and 5.130.050 of Chapter 5.130, and adding Section 5.130.170 to Chapter 5.130 of Title 5 of the West Hollywood Municipal Code to reenact the city's existing hotel worker protection and minimum wage ordinances, and to prevent their future amendment without subsequent voter approval pursuant to California Elections Code Section 9215A.
Wonderful. There was a motion, and is there a second? I believe Vice Mayor Byers is seconding it. If the buttons, there we go, buttons work. Are you clear on the motion, Madam City Clerk?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. And that passes 5-0. Wonderful. All right. Moving right along, we have no excluded consent, and we are going to move on to our last public comment section of the evening. Are there any public commenters? There are.
We had one individual sign up, and that is Thomas Barza, if he is still here. He is still here.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thomas Sparrs at City of West Hollywood. Another first-time visitor to City Council member. The reason for what brought me out tonight is for the Fountain Streetscape. A year ago, I wrote in to remind you guys, or to ask, to please put drainage in on the corners of Fountain and Poinsettia, which is the building I manage. And I received a reply from Lauren and John, and I think Helen was CC'd in the whole situation. But that's all I came out to tonight, to just ask, do not forget about the drainage on Poinsettia and Fountain. Our carports overflow when there's heavy rain. Garage gets flooded out. Our laundry room gets flooded out. The machines are in cinder blocks, and once the rain is gone, we have to clean up the mess. And I've been doing that for way too many years as I've managed this building. So please don't forget us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Helen doesn't forget anything. Right, Helen? There you go. That's right. Helen is amazing, so she will definitely, as that continues. Thank you so much, Thomas, and welcome. All right, that concludes public comment. Wonderful. We're going to move on to councilmember comments and meeting attendance reports. Councilmember Hyman, may I start with you?
No meeting attendance reports, but I have attended various community events. I did want us to follow up on the gentleman who spoke in the earlier public comments about the crosswalk right outside by the Pacific Design Center. It is quite challenging, and I think he's correct. There needs to be an overhead light rather than just the surface lights. It is very, particularly at night, as people come down the hill, it's very difficult to see people if they're in the median island. So I'm hoping that our staff can look at that and come back with some recommendations for improving the safety there.
Thank you so much, Councilmember.
And then one other
point,
sorry. Just to respond to something you said on the last item about the overwhelming number of people who signed. I just want to remind everyone, we will get petitions at some point in the future where we don't agree with them, and they will have met the requirements for the ballot number of signatures to have it put on the ballot. So I just don't want your comments to come back to bite you.
You know, that's never happened to me, John. I don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm joking. That's a joke. All right, Councilmember Meister, are you ready?
There we go. Thank you, Mayor. So attendance, I attended SCAG Energy and Environment Committee meeting and the Regional Council meeting with SCAG, and obviously the city's Veterans Day event, Chamber's Creative Business Awards, and the Transgender Day of Remembrance. I wanted to congratulate my colleague, the mayor, on his reelection, and Danny Hang on his election, and look forward to working with you and moving forward and into the age of Aquarius. And just wanted some announcements. We have the, as someone mentioned, the West Hollywood Art Project for the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games, and the City of West Hollywood invites you to help shape the cultural experiences WeHo will develop for these games. So go online and check out the calendar to find out when those events are happening. We also have the City of West Hollywood's 40 Years of Cityhood, and that's on Thursday, November 21st, for a free West Hollywood Day and State of the Community celebration highlighting West Hollywood's history, community spirit, and civic pride. I hope you'll all be there. And then December 1st is World AIDS Day, and the FAM will have a World AIDS Day commemoration on the respite deck at the Arc over at in West Hollywood Park. And also, very exciting, we have Young City at War. That's the Lavender Project's exhibit opening reception under the Grand Staircase. I believe that starts at 3 o'clock on December 1st, and I hope that you'll all join to see that exhibit. I know that Andy Sacker's been working very hard on that with his folks. And then just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you again in December.
Yes.
Well, I'll see you before then,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
yeah.
Councilmember Shine.
Thank you. I want to congratulate my colleague, Mayor Erickson. You beat my historic numbers of win numbers, and I'm so glad you did, because that is a testament to what the voters really, truly support, and that is all of the very visionary, progressive ways in which we have moved West Hollywood forward. And I am also congratulating Councilmember-elect Danny Hang. I am so proud of you. You raised money from businesses, from residents, from, you put together such a incredible group of supporters all across the country. And you worked so hard. You knocked on so many doors. You were steadfast in your support of where we are in West Hollywood, and you have an incredible heart. And you had labor and workers behind you, and you worked very, 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 very hard. So no matter what anybody says over here, don't let that get to you or take away any of the hard work that you did, because I know how hard you worked. And you won with incredible numbers on your first try. And you made history. And you're going to continue to make so much history moving forward. So congratulations to both of you. And also congratulations to everyone else who ran their campaigns. It is not easy to run a campaign for local office by any stretch of the imagination. So congrats to all of you. And I don't have any attendance to report either, so.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Byers.
Thank you. I want to report my attendance at the National League of Cities in Tampa, the Transportation Infrastructure Service Committee on which I serve, as well as the LGBT plus LO caucus meeting. I also, from Tampa, attended the Metro West Side Service Council meeting. I was really pleased that Metro engaged in a discussion immediately about some of the fears or consequences of this election. And just so folks know and are reminded that Metro does not collaborate in any way with the Immigration Customs Enforcement Authority, or otherwise known as ICE. They don't do anything to collect or ask immigration status. And in fact, Metro is the only transit agency in the country with this bias-free policing and public safety data analytics policies. So just want to be very clear that Metro, we are safe on, and there is no collaboration happening there. It was a concern brought up at the Service Council meeting. I too want to express my congratulations to both Mayor John Erickson on his re-election and Councilmember-elect Danny Hang. Feels so good to say. I also just want to share my gratitude for our staff, our city clerk, who led a very intrepid election season, as they all seem to be, but this one especially, and the many volunteers who were poll workers, helping staff all of the many spaces that are open. Just a lot of gratitude. It takes everyone to play a part in making sure that democracy can happen and our elections can run smooth and safely, and it seems that we are very successful here in West Hollywood in that regard. And just a big thank you to everyone who ran. Service to our city is a value that we all share, and I hope to see this continue as we all move forward. And just want to say that tonight on the council, we approved the Winter Sounds concert series. So I'm very much looking forward to those 4 dates to come this winter, and thankful to our art staff for the many items that they brought forward tonight. Joy is found in art in so many ways, and we'll need that to lead the resistance ahead. So thank you. That's all.
Thank you so much. Thank you to my colleagues for your congratulations. I appreciate it. I also, too, want to congratulate again Councilmember-elect Danny Hang on his win. Welcome to the First Timers Club. So there you go in that way. But that's, more so to say it's hard to run an election and do everything that you're doing, and you stay true to your values, which many people do not. So I just wanted to congratulate you and congratulate all the other individuals that ran. I will not miss this election season because it became so deeply personal in so many ways. And my only comments to the members of the public who continue to make it deeply personal is people in glass houses should not throw stones. That's literally as simple as it is. And it's unfortunate that it became so deeply personal like that. The attacks on city staff are unacceptable. Period, end of story. And I hope the city moves on from that way, because the city staff and the city run an exceptional service and provide an exceptional public service to our community. And I'm saying that both as a resident and as the mayor of the city. And the fact that people running in this election took the privilege to accuse public servants of some of the most atrocious things I've ever heard of in my 14 plus years in this city is disgusting. And the results showed that was not going to be tolerated. So I just hope that we can all move forward together. If you want to schedule a meeting to talk about what you would like to talk about, you know where to find me. Or you can find me this coming Saturday at Plummer Park for my 40th Plummer Park event in Plummer Park. I've done it for 40 months now consecutively, and I've never missed one. So you know where to find me. Additionally, I want to just remind people that in addition to the amazing programming that Councilmember Meister talked about, the 24th annual Paul Stark Warrior Awards will take place on December 4th at 6:30 p.m. in the City Council chambers. I unfortunately will be at the Victory Fund Conference, so I will miss this, but I hope people are able to go, and congratulations to the attendees and the awardees that will be there tonight. Just a quick item for staff. I got a couple of inquiries about when the Comedy Store item will be going to Planning Commission. I don't know when that's happening. I know it's like soon or soonish, but don't need an answer now. And then in terms of meetings, I attended various meetings and events throughout the city, and I'm really looking forward to our event on Thursday for the city's 40th anniversary. Additionally, I wanted to say a big thank you to all of the veterans who came out for the Veterans Day ceremony and the city staff that participated in it. And I want to thank Andy Harlan for organizing it, and for Helen for her special care that she took with the plaque that was installed up there at the Sal Gurriela Veterans Memorial. It's really beautiful, and it really means a lot to a lot of people. So thank you for all of your extra care and compassion there. And then I think that completes all my comments, and I have to say where we're going to adjourn to, because it's different. Oh, and before I forget, I want to wish Silver Solomon a happy birthday. Silver Solomon was born on November 29th, which is the city's actual birthday, and they will be, cake, what? There will be cake, I'm sure. You'll have to ask Andrew and all them, but it's not on November 21st, but I want to say happy birthday before our next meeting. So the City Council is now adjourned, and we will be until our next meeting, which will be on November 21st, 2024, at the Pacific Design Silver Screen Theater, for the purpose of holding the West Hollywood Day State of the Community event, at which the City Council will present and engage in a panel discussion. Doors open at 5:30, and the event will begin at 6:30. We are adjourned.
The significance of celebrating Harvey Milk Day, and specifically of integrating Jose Soria, these figures paved the way for people like me. Jose Soria was an incredible performer who was actually the first out person to run for office. And these figures have given this community so much, so it's only right that we celebrate them, and we celebrate them loudly and proudly.
Tonight, led by the incredible efforts of our drag laureate Pickle, we have the drag pageant, and there are amazing contestants showing their talents and creativity here with the city.